Yo, we're here. We're hot. We're in it. We're not waiting anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not waiting anymore. It's been too long to hang out with my friends. We're here. We're hot. Oh, we're in it. We're not waiting anymore. I'm not doing all kinds of crazy shit here. Yeah. So what's up, guys? Hi.
What up?
What's going on, man? It's been way too long.
There's real people. I'm talking to the real people. What's going on? I'm not just talking to myself here.
I feel you.
I'm working hard or what?
Oh, hardly working. You already know.
Sorry.
Never. Always working hard, my man. But it's been a fun week for Star Wars, though, hasn't it?
Bro.
Fire week for Star Wars.
Banger week for Star Wars. We're gonna get into that in like super depth. But we're gonna wait for Matcave to get in here. He'll be before we get all crazy. But yeah, so what's everybody been up to? What's the scoop? What's been cracking on everybody's channel? Anybody doing anything before we get started? What have you guys been up to?
I've been waiting for the handles to come out because my channel name is gonna end up just being Scotty Hawk, which is my name. It's my personal channel, always has been. I was focused on Star Wars a lot in the beginning. I'm doing a little gaming, a little theory now, so I'm switching it up, rebrand, kind of, sort of, but yeah, I'm being patient. You guys are crushing it. You're almost at 1,000. Help this boy out. He's gonna give away a PlayStation 5. I'm trying to win it.
Yeah, for real. Come on, subscribe.
It's harder. You think it would be easy
chance of winning than finding it.
When you get closer, like sometimes you just hit it. We got to do a party stream. You know what I mean? Just get it going for Obsession.
Push it.
Oh, he's got the party lights.
Oh, I do, but I'm just like, why are my reds not working? See, come back from a long stint, and it's like, oh, we're not gonna work. We're on strike. So
all of a sudden,
well, shit. How long has it been, bro? Like, is there something we can talk about?
It's been like
previous Andor.
Yeah, it was pre-Andor. I think
what came out right before Andor. I don't even. Or was it Kenobi? It was Kenobi.
Kenobi before Andor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. It's been exciting. I've been enjoying the upswing in let's call it the lack of negativity in the community lately. I've thoroughly enjoyed the positive swing for the fandom. I feel like Kenobi and Boba were both a little rocky here and there, and then they came out with Andor, and everybody was like, "Oh, is it going to be good?" And it's fire. This last week's episode, I was talking to a few friends. I was like, "Man, these last two episodes are just feel real similar to what happens in America." Just saying. So we're gonna get into a little bit of that. But yeah, dude, it's been
about that though too, and like all the articles that came out before Andor released. I'm not feeling it as heavy-handed as the articles were making it sound. As far as like literally naming a specific politician, you know what I'm saying? And everybody was like, "Yo, no chance they're gonna do this." But they're definitely showing the oppression and the prison. Like we'll talk about that in a minute too. Like,
well, I mean,
got a lot to say about the prison. A lot of good stuff in there.
And let's start with, we'll wait. Matt will get in here eventually before we get into the nuts and bolts stuff. But let's start at the beginning, really. I mean, the beginning of this series, everybody was so upset that, oh, they pushed 3 weeks. Oh, they pushed 3 weeks. Everybody, everybody's like, it's like, getting your hookup or going to the bar and drinking. You're like, man, I got to be there. It's got to be this time. It's got to be on this day. And we're going to do it. And now it's like they pushed 3 weeks, and I feel like that push was a great idea, right? Because I feel like the flow of that first 2 episodes might have really not appealed to some folks.
I agree. The beginning was a little slow, but with it being slow, the characters, they're all amazing. Like I loved all the character development, the relationships.
Oh yeah.
The thing about the slow start, though, is that it was kind of designed to be slow, and that's not a bad thing. Like, it was story setup. It was if you never met these characters, it's getting you introduced to them. I mean, it's getting us introduced to Ferrix and all of that stuff. Like, we haven't seen really a lot of Ferrix other than to visit Marva every other couple of episodes and everything. But I feel like there's going to be a big culmination there that was all set up in the beginning as well, which Star Wars does a lot of. It brings stuff back, you know.
I really like his friend, the big guy. I don't know his name. The maintenance guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Love that dude.
I can't remember his name either.
His relationship with the older lady in this episode, I was like, bro, it's pulling at my heartstrings.
Well, yeah, I mean, this whole thing is intended to, I mean, you know, him and his crew pulled off a job, and that tightened the noose, right? It basically tightened the choke collar that they didn't realize was on them, right? And that was the brilliance of the transition from the Galactic Republic to the Galactic Empire, was that people didn't realize. They made it sound like this is a good thing. There's no more bureaucracy. The Emperor's in charge. This is
the Senate was celebrating.
Yeah, everybody was happy.
Yeah, dude.
and then, you know, that's when the choke collar went on, and then all of a sudden somebody pulls this big job that gets everybody noticed, and it's like, oh, hold on, you all forgot there's a lot of us now, and there you just see the boot coming down on the neck, you know.
I think the brilliance of this show is really that, in a way, Luthen and what he's doing is kind of the access, if you will, of the rebellion. And I know we'll talk about it more when Matcave gets here and everything too, but it's wild how they're handling that character and how he's really making that chokehold happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you know, Ash puts a really good spin on it. This is what I was saying early, is that this isn't a 6-episode arc. This isn't an 8-episode show like we're used to. This is 12 episodes. Exactly. It's greenlit for 24. So this is actually playing as a 24-episode show, you know, and as it should. So it's it's very I like the slow burn. I like getting to know everybody and what they're doing, and then you boomerang back and you feel bad for these people, right? You feel bad for these people that are in the ISB torture chambers, right? Because we've seen that kind of stuff in Rebels, right? We saw how those ISB folks treat folk. This just different when it's live action, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how much more of an impact is it seeing, you know, a torture chamber in cartoon? You're like, oh, that's cute, that's cartoon. But then you see live action folks and you're like, oh.
Yeah, the emotion it's harder to capture emotion in animation as well. So it makes everything more real, and the way Tony has directed it.
I forgot we were doing this. I forgot you guys mentioned this at all. It's been a banger every day, but we talked about this.
We did talk about how
the power of the dark side.
Yes.
He did it.
amazing.
Is that a Darth Vader voice changing helmet?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
No,
I think I have one of those somewhere.
Bites.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's he's killing me.
You know what slow burn I'm really enjoying is Cyril. That character, bro, he is going to snap. He's literally going to snap.
Well, and see, I mean, this whole process, if you're not caught up to the heist yet, then that's awesome. I completely forgot all about it.
Sure.
Come on, guys.
How you doing, Mackie?
What's up, dude? But yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, the heist was very well done. The whole thing about, and you know, the fact that we hadn't seen the ISB yet, and then all of a sudden you start seeing all these white shirts everywhere, and then something triggered for me when I started seeing all these white shirts. I was like, wait a minute. Who else wears a white shirt in Rebels that shows up to put the boot down on the rebellion? Who was that? I think he had some red eyes, maybe.
Oh, blue skin,
maybe. I mean, so my thing is like,
when
is Thrawn? And this is like, look, I don't read a lot of the Thrawn books. I'm kind of going with the current canon that's spewing out. I'm trying not to divert my mind from the current stuff that we're the line that they're pointing us in. But it seems like the people that wear white are more ISB related, right? Unless they're enforcers. It seems like all of the captains, all the higher ups in the ISB are wearing white, and all their subordinates are wearing gray. And we see this guy in white just show up in Rebels. Does this put a different spin on his purpose, right? And what his real focus is? He's not just an admiral in the fleet. The Seventh Fleet isn't just a fleet, a normal fleet. I think that is a oppression fleet. That is an ISB fleet, right?
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree, because you think about how Thrawn is used in not only the novels, but when he comes into Rebels, he's like special tactics. They brought him in as like, okay, now we're going to drive the nail through instead of what's been going on. So seeing that, seeing like Yularen show up, and like you said, all the ISB agents have their specialties. That said, though, I'd actually be really surprised if they brought Thrawn into this before we see what happened to him in Ahsoka.
I don't think we're gonna see Thrawn. I'm not saying that I anticipate Thrawn a cameo. Maybe in the background we'll see a little blue dot go by in the background with the Emperor or something cool. But I'm just saying it's kind of a familiar. It's a familiar tone, I guess, is walking into the ISB, seeing the Colonel come out, right? This person ran with Anakin Skywalker, right? Even back then, he didn't necessarily agree with the Jedi. He didn't really like the Jedi, to be honest. He was kind of a jerk. I mean, he was, dude. He was by the book. He didn't like Anakin's off-book tactics. There was a lot of disagreement along the way, and it just fits that he would end up at the top of the ISB, right?
Oh yeah,
hunting Jedi.
Maybe I'm the only one, but the ISB room, the way it's set up, has like the Knights of Camelot feel for me. They're all like they're all literally like the highest ranking person of that star system or whatever it is. They're the ones that are in control of keeping order there, and they're all kind of competing with each other as far as like superiority and things like that.
Oh, everybody in the Empire
each other in check.
Yeah, and you just said
dude,
what
it's
I was
amazing.
thinking. Like think about the current episode we saw, and just the way that the levels were competing against the tables were competing against the tables, the levels were competing against the levels. I'm sure that whole system was competing against other systems in that area. Like I said, nobody wants their boss to see their name or see their face ever. And it's a constant competition, right? If you're not first, you're last everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
From the Inquisitors losing limbs, right? I mean, all the way to the top, dude. I mean, Vader, you're not first.
They're throwing each other under the bus for like going out of protocol. You know what I'm saying? They're not afraid to arrest their own.
For praise of their superiors is everything in the Empire, right? And it's really twisted. Friend today is foe tomorrow, right? And it's crazy the alliances that these guys have. Then that's why you see people like Callus, right? Callus turns because he's like, wait a minute, you guys don't compete. They're like, no, we compete for fun, but we compete to get the mission done. We're not really enemies. Y'all are enemies. And maybe that's what
the prison guards, I think, were a good representation of that. The one guy was late to the shift or whatever it was, and they had to wait on him, and then you could tell how pissed off his coworker was, because they're gonna get in trouble for sure.
Well, and let's talk about the current episode.
Let's talk about the prison.
If you haven't watched the episode, I recommend just putting this on mute until you get a thumbs up, and then you can come back.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoilers are coming. We're also
here. You want the spoilers?
Spoilers.
I got some new stuff. Coffee has me very motivated, so this is the first time we're going to do any kind of fun craziness. So we're going to do that in a little bit when we get to Tales, but and it's not worked out yet.
Segments, people.
Yeah, we're working on some
Let's
things.
go.
It's not worked out. We haven't figured out the graphics portion yet. We're going to get there, but for starters, let's talk about the latest episode, right? Now, what we were saying, and actually the first person to bring this up to me was Sheiv. The last episode what, 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what was
before this one?
Yeah. Episode 7. Okay. So Cassian gets arrested, right? We see Cassian get arrested. Everybody was wondering how he was going to get hemmed up. he gets hemmed up for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? Now, it's funny because I haven't read any articles. I haven't been on the Twitter. I haven't seen how other people feel. I got a text message from Sheiv, and then I showed some people. I was like, you got to watch this. It feels very America in 2022. And my homeboy watched it, and he was like, yo, I've been that guy, right? Like, you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Johnny Law is just, ears up and tails perked up. And they're like, hey, you come here. And you're like, well, I was just walking here, dude. I'm not running with these guys. He tries to talk about it, and ironically, who is the one that like really subdues him? It's a KSO droid.
Yeah, I thought we were getting the voice right there. I was like, no way.
Like, how ironic that the one thing he trusts in the world later in life is the one thing that hemmed him up and got him locked up to begin with, right?
So,
I mean,
real quick, do you guys think that could be the K2SO, or is that just a red herring?
I think it was a red herring.
I don't think he'll go back to that planet. He got sent off world.
You don't think? Okay, the one reason I think he maybe would go back is because the money's there.
I think the money's there. I think the money's there, or his ship is.
Or he's gonna at least try to see if the money's there, and then he's gonna run into the droid again or something.
Yeah, because no one else knew. It's sitting on top of the shower.
Well, no, that's only a fraction. His ship has got to be somewhere with this hidden or cloaked or some shit, because he's.
What was he saying to him? He said, "No, watch me," and he was choking him against the wall.
Well, and I mean, how ironic is that? Like, you're just walking by, and you see a bunch of people running, and he's like, "What are you looking over your shoulder for?" He's like, but he didn't even have a chance to explain himself. Yeah. He's like, "You're one of them. That's it." And it just shows that they're not putting up with any shit since the heist, right? He kind of created this environment. And look at
no, he did.
I mean, 80 million credits. I mean, he created this whole thing. But then the one thing that I find ironic is that the sentences went from like 6 months to 6 years.
Yeah. Think about when he first got there and the guys were like, "What are you in for?" And he's like, "Nothing." And like, "Oh, another one."
So can I send us on a whole rabbit hole deep dive?
Sure.
So throughout the episode, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this prison. What are they building? I mean, there's like multiple planets, if you guys are paying attention, that they're sending off these prisoners to. And like, to your point, 6 months turns into 6 years. What the heck is that? Like, obviously, like part of that is Luthen's whole plan is to get people to start rebelling from the Empire cracking down and tightening that grip on the galaxy. You know what I mean? And so 6 months to 6 years, well, why would they do that? They're having these people in this place to build these parts for stuff. It's probably to build the Star Destroyer fleets that they have, or maybe even parts for the Death Star. And that's what all this is really going on is, they're keeping these people in prison because they're spending all this money on resources for the Death Star and for different projects. So that somebody has to build this stuff, and they don't want to pay people. So
it's free labor.
Exactly.
End of the road. It's free labor. It's no different than Kessel. It's no different than any of these other slave planets. The Empire's like, oh, well, we just put people in jail. We don't have slaves. Slaving is so like pre-Empire. Like,
I love this scene too. I love the scene too.
The show,
the guy in prison's like, "What are you here for?" And he's like, "Nothing." And the guy's like, "Well, we've had a lot of that lately." Like,
well, and how about
building up an army?
How about the inmates?
Workers.
How about the inmates that are like, yeah, they tripled our time because of this. Like, we're not even involved. We're not even out in the world. And they're like, oh, something happened big. You're in for another 3 years. And it's like, yo, that's oppression, right? Having that much control over set time or whatever. So but let's talk about the prison also. How sick is that twisted ass prison?
Dude, it feels like THX 1138.
Bro, yeah. It is legit.
All of the there's signed language being communicated between the prisoners. I feel like if Andor's there for long enough, he's gonna learn it, and I'm hoping that it's like rebellion talk, and that there's some kind of bigger plot thread inside the prison. And I don't know if you guys got this vibe either, but the prison looks exactly like Camino. All of the tunnels have those wide windows so they can see everybody in every corridor. I'm not saying to the exact look, but just the way the prison's set up. They look exactly like the clones all lined up in Camino
why wouldn't you do
work
a
there?
Facility that functioned perfectly for, generation.
Yeah.
It's that and THX 11 to
that was
Matcave's
definitely
point.
an homage to THX,
Mhm.
and it was the vibe I got. I definitely got Camino vibes from that. But the thing I noticed right off the bat when Cassian got there, when you watch him, he's watching everything. He's absorbing it. He's listening to the codes they're speaking to each other. He's looking at their day-to-day function.
The shoes that are hung up, he saw where those went.
Everything.
He listened to one of them talk
following
about
Cassian's
the time.
eyes. The whole time. I loved it.
So observant.
Well, he's picking everything up, down to like how to be most efficient when putting these things together, right? It seems like even in his bed, it seems like they were maybe top tier after that first 30 cycles. Because he was like not hating the food that he was eating. It wasn't like
he had like a tray of food, didn't he? It wasn't even he wasn't even eating from the tube. It was like they actually gave him something
thing right off the wall.
Yeah, their tray was on the wall. Normally they just be like, it sucks, but he's like, this is delicious, right? I mean, he's cooking the plate basically.
He's really good at joining a routine very quickly,
right?
Because he has to adapt.
Yeah.
So he pays attention, and like you said, you get the 30 shifts later, and now all of a sudden he's just boom, boom, boom. He's got his thing going. The thing they're building, though, what I thought it might be was the internal side to a TIE fighter wing. Just looking at how it kind of breaks off. That's what I thought it was. I could be completely wrong.
Actually, you're not. You might not be wrong.
They make so many. It probably makes sense too.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's an interesting facility too. The bare feet, the electric floors, the suicide. I love how dude kills himself. Right, everybody knows that dude kills himself, and then
I smell that all night.
Yeah, everybody's they're not mad that he's gone. And the only people that are really mad that he's gone are his team. They're like, man, we're gonna be down a guy tomorrow. Man, we're gonna come in last, and we're getting electrocuted. Nobody really cares. They're just like, man, we got to smell that dude all night. That's all they said. Like, how twisted is this place? This is worse than Shawshank, bro.
How long?
It's like Ashton said earlier. It's almost as bad as Squid Games.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just the one saving grace is if you're in your pod, ain't nobody screwing with you, right? Like you step into your pod, you step into my pod, we're both getting fried. So. Like
no one's getting out of line,
right? So it's interesting that this prison is so efficient, right? It's interesting that the inmates are running the inmates, right? It's very chain gang, right? You had the guys on horse that were surveilling the whole area, making sure nobody gets out, but then the inmates are the ones running the show, right? So it's very old school prison tactics also in taking a very guard detached philosophy. I'm curious if Andor is going to become the new head after Homeboy leaves,
after Andy Serkis leaves. Oh, dude.
Right. I wonder if that's why he's becoming so efficient, because they pick the most efficient worker to run the shift, and then he becomes.
That's why I love talking to you guys.
Now you think he's going to be there that long?
He's there for 6 years, dude. He's got 2,158 days.
Obviously, he's not going to be there the full 6 years. And to your point earlier, Hawks,
though it might be forward 6 years, dude.
He won't, because we know in 5 years is when everything takes place in Rogue One.
Boom happens,
and he's going to be a part of the rebellion and everything.
Oh, so you think they come to get him? The ISB comes to get him, and
hold on. This is why I'm loving talking to you guys, because I honestly, Hawk said it earlier that they're probably going to break out. I was watching a new Rockstar video earlier, and they pointed out that one of the guys in the prison is actually one of the rebels we see in Rogue One. It's literally the same actor. So
what they call him by name.
To your point, maybe the dude Andy Serkis does leave. Maybe Andor becomes the next guy, and because he's been so observant,
I think that's the case.
These guards are so terrible.
Yeah,
these guards are so terrible that he's going to be like, "All right, guys, screw this place." Maybe he'll catch on to the ASL or whatever too, but he's gonna be like, "Screw this place," like kind of be the leader of the group and be like, "We're gonna break out of here." And then I think honestly,
the guy that got in his face, right?
The next time there's an entrance, right? Like I think that's the key is you can't break out of that prison. number one, from your level, unless somebody comes in, right? So there's going to have to be a sacrifice of a body to get this whole plan into action, because that's the only way you're getting in and out is during that moment. And then you got to have some rubber shoes, bro.
Yeah.
I said that shit last night, Jack. What if?
I was just gonna say, I'm with Jack Brody.
I mean, they got to have a body, right?
Yeah. I love, dude, when he popped up on screen, as soon as Andy Serkis stepped in, I was like, Snoke.
Yo, so the guy that's from Rogue One is the guy that got in his face, and he was like, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He has no idea.
That guy.
And then Serkis came over and told him to shut up. So maybe Andy Serkis is also, and that's also another reason why Serkis is so focused on the control of everybody in his zone, because on the outside he's got connections and he's ready for war. Like he's
been there longer than like everyone too,
bro.
right?
And the sign language, I'm telling you, the sign language, it's coming from Serkis. Like this dude is not just controlling his own sector. There's some bigger thing going on. Like, and it could be
so cool.
What we don't know is it could be Luthen or it could be Saw Gerrera.
I was thinking
who they're talking to on the outside.
I'm thinking more Saw than Luthen. I think Luthen is now. I got, at least from that last episode, I got the sense that now Luthen is more detached than he was before. So I don't know which way he's going to go with this, but now that Saw and his group and the partisans have been brought into play here, I think we're going to see that group getting involved a lot more, where we're going to see them butting heads with Mon Mothma, because she's got a totally different idea of how to go about this than they do.
Yeah.
And we see that come to a head in an episode of Rebels. We hear her talk about him in Rogue One
multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, and Saul's tactics were always extreme. I mean, this is something that even during when his sister was alive, before she died, he was always the extreme one. She was the voice of reason, and she died, and the voice of reason. Jiminy Cricket packed his things and left. When she died. So he's always been an extremist. He's always been a danger to, whether it was the Galactic Republic or to the rebels. He's always been on the crazy side of things, and he believes that the means are justified by the ends.
Yeah. Well, think about where he learned a lot of military tactics.
Anakin.
Right.
Yep.
No, literally, I've been in the process of been wanting to make this video for so long, but Saw Gerrera is literally the rebel version of Vader. He's the extremist. He literally becomes more machine than man. He's so devoted and taking down the other side that he literally becomes Darth Vader.
Well, he's willing to sacrifice parts of himself for the cause, right? Like, and that's the thing about him, is there's no cost. There's no cost too much to him, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing about Saul, is he genuinely believes that every cost is worth it, no matter what the cost. It's completely worth it.
Feel that.
That's what that guy thinks too. I can't even do the right way.
I know, you always got to do it backwards, right?
Yeah.
You think you're like, oh, he's over here on my screen, right? But no, you got to go the other way. So,
Vader was choking on his ambitions.
Oh.
That guy keeps walking in. I'm sorry. I kicked him out.
So this
dude, Luthen was desperate. I'll agree. He seemed very desperate that, like, I can't do this without you, Saw. But without saying that. Yeah.
Well, and
he's like, you aren't going to do this on your own, man.
So let's talk about the them cutting ties to everybody, right? They're shutting Luthen's cohort is like, we got to shut it down, right? Like, we got to cut it off. There's that leg is poisoned, and we're going to get caught if we continue. And they're monitoring everything at this point, right? This is Palpatine got money and got permission to basically tear up all of the security protocols and make them stop, right? So, I mean, this is the beginning of trying to find the rebellion, and this is what makes the rebellion worse, right? It's being reactive, right? As an adversary. You that's why Thrawn was so effective, because he wasn't reactive. He expected, he anticipated, he was
Almost similar to Andor and the fact that he just observed everything. You know what I mean?
Right. He's not reactive, he's proactive, right? That's the difference in the styles of warfare. And that's why everybody was like, "Oh, well, Thrawn, aren't you going to go get him?" No, I know what's coming. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Right?
Thrawn's willing to let the other side win just to put them right where he
Right.
wants them.
Right. And that's the Empire, though. Most of the Empire is reactive, and that's exactly what Luthen is exploiting right now.
Yeah.
You're not going to be proactive and keep it secret. You're going to tighten the leash. You're going to make everybody feel it, and that's going to help me recruit more people that hate you. And that's how the rebellion is born. I'm just hoping that, we get to see that not necessarily the Vader moment, because I really don't want to see Vader in any of this Andor stuff, but it would be cool to see a moment where we see Bail and Mon Mothma and the entire rebellion, that moment in
Force Unleashed,
right? That would be what a great live action moment to have, and what a great person to come in and do it like Sam, right? What a great way to put a Star Killer story. You don't have to call it that, because I know Star Killer is such a tough word to promo in the world. Add the word killer to anything, it's really tough to get that mainstream, right? Call him something else, right? That'd be fine.
We just did the base.
First Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We just did Star Killer Base. I mean,
they would do it.
And I'm going to push back, because I think you have to do it.
Well, I would love.
They put the armor in there, and I'm kind of mad.
Oh man, now you guys are making me. Yeah.
There's a couple things about the show that I don't like, man. A couple of these Easter eggs, if they are just Easter eggs and they're just nothing burgers, I'm gonna be upset.
Well, but see, here's the thing: is that there's gonna be downtime between the first and second seasons of Andor, right? There's gonna be at least a year, right? What a great place to either put an animated thing together or shoot a short live action thing. It doesn't have to be the 6-episode thing. It could be a 30-minute thing, and people would
limited series.
People would themselves.
Obsession. It can be a show that takes place in the blip, and we literally don't give a shit about those shows. Is what I'm saying. Like we're past the blip now. This can just be a year or two of Vader's time where he was like, "I'm gonna be a master," and how'd that work out for you, bro?
The great thing is
you can do it.
The great thing is you don't even have to do the whole thing right now, right? The great thing is all you have to do is shoot one scene in a hangar of a Jedi, maybe a Jedi, we don't know, right? It's going to look like a Jedi saving these 4 senators that start the rebellion, right? It's just a flash. It could be a flash, a 10-second flash that Mon Mothma has or something, right? Of this meeting of all of the rebellion leaders, and that's how they get the symbol, right? Like, what a great way to birth the symbol of the rebellion in live action. Like, what an opportunity.
Dude, I'll tell you the most powerful moment of that roundtable scene with the Rebellion and Force Unleashed was Bail yelling to Proxy to cut the transmission because he was showing Leia. If they did that in live action,
that's what I'm saying.
Somebody's showing it and Bail freaks and she's like, cut the transmission, like something. I want that. I want it so bad.
I mean, you have Millie Bobby Brown that's already kind of lined up for that role, if you will. It seems like an easy play because we know how old Leia is based on the timeline with Rebels, right? The fact that these two are traveling the same time, we know that Leia meets Ezra and Kanan, right? Yeah. So this whole thing could be an amazing way to introduce Starkiller. And then because you see him, even if it's just for this one moment where he rescues the senators and you see them float away and then, whatever, then you can go back and make a Starkiller show, right? Then you can do Vader.
I'm telling you, they're doing it. I think they're going to bring video games, movie, like they're going to actually have a canon.
Well, here's the
thing. I agree with that, but I don't know if
Order's
I can
canon.
get. I mean, go for it because I
can
want you
tie
to
it in.
sway me. Because right now, as much as I want and
Dale,
think
you
Star
shut your
Killer
mouth
is
when you're
coming to
talking to me.
canon, I don't think it's happening in this. But persuade me here. What were you going to say, Matcave?
I'm with Hawks on this because it can work. The space is there, the timeline is there to fit this in, and it would make perfect sense, especially with what the Sith are in the Rule of Two, and the student always wants to be the master. They're always trying to overthrow their master, and Vader, in over time, whether it's been in comics, in the EU, he's tried multiple times and has failed, and he's been brought to his knee by Palpatine and shown like, hey, you're gonna shape up or I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And Vader has made multiple attempts, his biggest attempt being Star Killer. Now it doesn't, I think at this point it doesn't necessarily have to be literally Star Killer. They can mold this into something new, but we'll know as fans. We're like, you're doing the Star Killer story, but it doesn't have to be him. Now, look, the fan in me and the wishful thinking would be Sam Witwer.
Just stop.
Time out.
It has to be him, or it can't be anything.
Time out.
First of all,
So
It's okay.
This statement,
but Matt, like
to me, hold on, time out. This statement to me is the continued argument across the board, right? You have to bring his level down because he's so OP.
but you guys are going off the rails. From
He's
what I
still
was
got
saying.
his ass kicked, right? An 80% Vader still kicked his ass, right? So I mean, yeah, he's OP in some regard, but at the end of the day, he still dies, right?
Yeah, I don't think they would bring him in OP like that. They would just,
or does he? And he's really the Jedi survivor.
How many, Matt? I gotta ask you, Matt, too. How many canon, like OT Vader main plot points are broken in that game based on what happens in the game? Does he go to planets where people would recognize him? Does he, like, is he out there showing off?
Who, Vader?
No,
or
Star Killer.
Star Killer.
Star Killer goes kind of to off where he goes to Felucia, he goes to Raxus Prime, he goes to
does he go to Coruscant?
I think Raxus Prime had a cameo, or at least was.
Does he
mentioned
go
in
to
this episode.
Tatooine?
No.
Does he go to Naboo? Like, this is what I'm saying.
That's the thing. He's off the grid.
Right.
Well, so
it can be if it's going to be a part of the if it's going to be a part of the canon, it's going to be a part of the canon. They're not going to bring him in and do some random shit with him.
Yes.
I mean, I think the best way to
They'll just retell the game in live action is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean,
And make it official.
retell the game in live action, great, but I think could we be getting some Star Killer remnants in Jedi Survivor?
That would be cool.
I like that too. Like,
yeah.
I honestly don't know with that one. I think Mount Tantus is going to be full of surprises, and I think that's going to be what's featured in that game. Even I'm not sure. That's just kind of my thoughts on the cloning and everything. But who knows? Maybe it's like a Jakku cloning facility. I have a big theory for a long time that I've had with Star Killer, and honestly, if we're talking about Star Killer and Thrawn here, which I would love for both of them to be at the center of canon, and it's all part of the plan, I think. But I think Star Killer is probably less likely to show up in this than Thrawn is, to be honest. And to your guys' point, though, there is a whole bunch of Easter eggs and stuff, and I do think that Star Killer is coming to canon. I truly do, especially after asking Sam Witwer and everything. But I mean, when he comes, it's probably going to be in Ahsoka, I think. And the thing with him and the whole time is that he was probably Vader's secret apprentice. Or not even secret apprentice. Maybe they're going to change this part of him and make him like a secret inquisitor. Because I've always been like, okay, like obviously there's the Grand Inquisitor, but who was the first Inquisitor? We've never really known. So what if he was the first, or, a secret Inquisitor that Vader had, or that was, assigned to Vader to take out his stuff? Nobody's ever heard of him because he is that good. Maybe he is overpowered still. And only Ahsoka is going to be able to take him down, or, be able to stand up against him, the other apprentice of Vader in the Ahsoka show.
So let me ask you guys this. Because again, I'm all on board for having Starkiller in this. Which one though? The true Starkiller or the clone?
And this one, it would probably be the true one, in my opinion. If he shows up in Andor.
Because there's a lot of things. I know a lot of people, as far as video game fans went, they kind of crapped on Force Unleashed 2. Personally, I loved Force Unleashed 2. There's an amazing moment in that game where he goes to Dagobah and he meets Yoda, and he goes into the same cave Luke went into and has a vision. And it's insane. It's probably the best moment in that entire game. But that's the clone.
Yeah. Everybody in this chat right now is not convinced that Star Wars has monthly, if not weekly, meetings on how the hell to get Sam Witwer in live action. You're out of your damn mind.
They're already doing it in Andor. He was one of the troopers.
They made a look-alike in Boba Fett. I'm telling you, he's the Henry Cavill of Star Wars. Like
they sneak him in there. They put him in the stormtrooper outfits. They sneak him in,
bro.
Into everything.
They knocked the helmet off on accident. I don't give a shit. Like,
he's coming back. Let's transition over to
they're dying for Tales.
Now, I watched him out of order. I thought it would be fun, and it was a lot. It was better for me. I think I enjoyed it more splitting it up. But that's just fire. They were short. I was like literally foaming at the mouth for more. I was like, what? Why?
Because that's how good the storytelling was, dude. In 15 minutes apiece,
bro,
they hooked us. Like, dude, Filoni was like,
oh, dude, he was fishing. He put 6 different fishing poles in the water, and
all of them
up everybody with it. It was fantastic, honestly. I mean, honestly, the fact that it was number 1, it was Clone Wars animation. Fantastic, right? Bad Batch is Clone Wars animation. I think they've figured out that's the animation style that they need to stick to if they're going to continue to tell any of this Empire, Order 66, any of this stuff along the way. I think they've finally figured out that they have to do it in Clone Wars artwork. It's got to be Clone Wars illustration.
Well, I love the beauty of how they've gotten to where they are, really, because it's not just Clone Wars. Really, what they did is they took the Clone Wars artwork and made it better with what they've did on the Rebels and everything.
Right. I saw a lot of Bad Batch influence in it.
Yeah,
a lot of Bad Batch influence.
The facial structures.
I saw a lot of season 7 of Clone Wars. Right, that's really what this animation style is. It's an upgrade. It's a technological upgrade, is what it is. Because when they stopped making Clone Wars, the technology, they were at the cutting edge of technology, and then they're like, hey, we're going to do this season 7, but we want to get these people in some game animation suits. How do we do
that's
this?
when they had money.
And then they're like, oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do it this way. And then season 7 was like, bam, 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 was super dope. This feels the same, right? Yeah. And I think that's number 1. What's so appealing is visually, you're just like, oh my god, this is so good. But then you get into the story. Now, the Ahsoka, we'll start at, you know what? We're going to start with
where the hell do you start?
We're going to start with a game. Okay, so bear with me here. This might be a little loud. This is the first time I've ever done it, so watch your ears, everybody. So we're going to do a new thing we're calling... Oh, wait, where is it?
Hey. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we're calling this the Great Rate Debate. So I have decided that we are going to do this more often with the episodes of shows. We're going to keep jamming to this, by the way, until but we'll start it over when we go again. I'm going to explain the rules. So basically, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about how we rate these, right? And what order we rate them. So, of course, everybody has their favorites. Everybody's got different interests. So we're just going to throw this out there and everybody kind of think about, we're going to talk about this, but at the end, I want you guys to think about what order you rate these in from top to bottom, 1 through 6, what episodes really get you. So we're going to talk about the episodes. And then at the end, we're going to do the whole music fun again. And then we're going to talk about it. Right. So think about it as we go on, and we're going to start at the top. And then after we finish talking about 6, we're going to boomerang back and we're going to do That's right. We're gonna do the great rate debate. That's right.
Nice.
That's what we're calling it.
Let's go. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
Oh
we're
yeah.
gonna start at episode 1. I'm gonna that's coming. We're gonna do some, there's gonna be some voice. So we start with the Ahsoka as a baby. Now I do feel like they did do these in timeline, right? They did a great job doing these in succession. As to where we were in the war, right? So Ahsoka being born was the start of this story, of these tales. And that was the early moment, right? Before she's discovered as a Jedi. She's born, and it shows us her early path. This episode was really fun to start with, right? What a good episode to start. It almost feels like a birth. It felt like the birth of a great story, not only the birth of a great character. I have no doubt Dave had a very, very big hand in the ingredients thrown into this episode.
Oh yes.
But what an amazing, I mean, when you see her mom for the first time, you're like, oh damn, that looks just like her, right? And then you go through this whole, her being born, her getting her name, this whole thing, that's beautiful. But then they go on a hunt, and this clan of Togorans, am I saying that?
Togruta?
I think.
Okay, I wasn't sure the pluralization of that. I'm bad with phonetics anyway. But we get this we see how they live, right? They're not chilling on Coruscant with ships, right? They're basically, natives to their planet. Their planet is quite primitive. They've got blasters, as almost everybody does in the galaxy, but you got a couple droids helping out here and there, but not a lot going on. Felt
kind of like a village,
Felt very Ronin, right?
Yeah.
That Ronin village, right? Seemed very similar. So, the women are hunting, right? How cool. How 2022. Surprised we didn't hear more angry men talking about feminist. Star Wars is being feminized. I'm sure we'll get them sooner or later. The haters.
There weren't even any men there, so it's whatever.
It's whatever. They're just aliens. So and they're from like the other planet, kind of, not the illegals coming across the border. So we fast forward a little bit.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to go
there. No, it's fine. Totally, no harm, no fouls. So we see them go on a hunt. She takes her daughter, and you see the village elder basically bless them on a good journey, right? That's a very spiritual thing, right? These people are quite spiritual. And then we get to the hunt, and it's quite from such an early age, that little Ahsoka is taught that death is a part of life, not to be afraid of it, and to basically face your fears from basically the time that she could walk.
Yeah, she was just over 1 year old.
These are lessons that drive home, right? Those things that we hear as children stay with us subconsciously, consciously, whatever, depending on your memory cycle and your ability. And that was a very interesting thing for her mother to tell her. The first lesson she's really learning is about death.
Yeah.
You guys have kids. That's a heavy thing to start with, right? I mean, obviously we don't know how much they remember at that age, but that's a heavy subject to start with, not to mention a heavy thing to go out and do with a 1-year-old. But then we get into this, the village comes and the tiger snatches and this whole thing happens. And that little thing doesn't have any fear. She's not afraid of nothing. That tiger could have ate her. That saber-toothed cat could have ate her. And she's like, ha, 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 boop, kitty.
Yeah, literally.
Right? Let me get on your back, kitty. Come here. Come here, kitty. Right? And they didn't even give it any food. They could have given it a leg of lamb or something for the journey. But it was a beautiful way to show her power and her instinct so early in life, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they hung out in the field while it ate the deer.
Right.
Yeah. They were just chilling.
You want some of this?
She was just feeding it.
I do want to say at that moment what my fear was. And I don't know if anybody else felt the same way in that moment with Tiger coming up to her and her about to boop his nose. They have clearly in shot his injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't do it.
The force.
Yeah.
Don't dare do it.
No, nope, too soon.
No. I don't think that's one of her abilities.
It wasn't. And the good thing is, but a big thing through force sensitive beings is being able to, you build that connection with nature and creatures and things like that. And Anakin can do that.
Yeah.
Ezra was really big with that.
Ezra was big with that.
Did I see Loth dogs?
That's what I was wondering. Like, what the heck are those?
Those were not cats, bro. They were barking 100,000
Pomeranian. Were those like Pomeranian like dogs, right?
My question has always been,
dogs.
because we've seen like different kinds of Loth cats and different stuff throughout the galaxy and stuff, not on Lothal. Like, does it really count as a Loth cat or a Loth dog or a Loth wolf or whatever if it's not on Lothal?
I think it's domesticated universally, but it originates in Lothal.
Well, I mean, look at
they probably breed them by now. It's
I
like
wouldn't
a
even say domesticated all of them, because look at the one that messed up that guy in Mando. Look at those cats that messed up that dude in Mando. Those weren't domesticated. Those were angry.
those were
some angry kitties.
Exactly, they were barking on top.
So that episode was amazing, and then we see the town elder obviously tell everybody that Ahsoka's a Jedi. I would have loved that to end with a Jedi starfighter just landing in the distance, right? Like feeling that moment, that moment of power, that power that she has.
Yeah, I would have liked to see. Someone said in the chat, talked about Plo Koon, or
I mentioned that because
that would have been cool.
I always mess up the name, so I don't even try. That's why I just said Jedi Starfighter.
He's my favorite, dude.
I mean, I will say, since we are in the middle of talking about it, I do think there will be more Tales of the Jedi. Cross the fingers.
Agree.
So maybe there is one about
Plo
Koon.
I have a prediction for later.
Let's
talk about it at the end.
We'll get save your prediction.
Got a lot of episodes, dude.
Because I got one in the hopper that I was
saying. Baby Ahsoka, healer, yada yada. We should
so we're at the end.
Second episode.
We're at the end. Unfortunately, we didn't see a Jedi Starfighter. That's the only exclamation point I think that would have been great to put on that, because that seems about the time that he would have picked her up. If you're looking at some of the flashbacks from maybe another 6 months from the Clone Wars, that's about the time. We get into episode 2 now. Episode 2 was rad. I'm calling that the Qui-Gon Jinn episode, really, because that's what I took the most away from. This was fantastic. Young Dooku. Young Dooku is. I mean,
we're going episodically. Okay.
Yeah, we're going episodically. Yeah. We're just going to go through because I don't want to confuse anybody.
Right.
This was awesome. Younger Dooku was just as troubled as Anakin. Right? I mean, just as conflicted during what is the height of the Galactic Senate, right? The height of the new Jedi Order, right? The current Jedi Order. This is the pinnacle of that time, basically. They feel that the fact that a Sith isn't even an inkling at this point in the story when Qui-Gon is an apprentice. How cool was it seeing a young Qui-Gon? Did you think that was the original voice? Do you think they did some re-speeching on that, or did they get a new actor?
Somebody told me that was Liam Neeson's son.
Do you not know about that? It's
Liam Neeson's son.
Liam Neeson's son voiced the younger Qui-Gon, and then Liam came back for the older one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I completely didn't know that. That's fantastic. Yeah, because that was great vocal acting. The timing, the inflection. I mean, obviously listening to your dad your whole life, I'm sure I could do my dad's timing pretty well.
Oh yeah.
And then hearing him on screen as Qui-Gon Jinn the whole time, but
that's funny.
The fact that his moral compass is really north, right? Like Dooku and Ahsoka probably would have got along great, right? These two arcs these two Jedi are very similar in their true North compass, right? Ahsoka got in trouble a couple times for trying to do the right thing, even though they told her that doing the right thing sometimes isn't doing the right thing, which is something I've heard in real life. But I feel like the reason that they started the Tales of the Jedi with these two particular Jedi is because their true North compass is identical, right? The people are what matter, not the code. That's something that both of these Jedi hold a very firm grasp on. Would everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think listening to you talk, I'm starting to pick out the differences too.
Oh, there's big differences. Execution is the difference, right? The ideology is very similar, but it's the execution of the matter.
Well, I'm starting to. Oh,
Qui-Gon, and it's crazy to say this because of how dark Dooku goes, but Qui-Gon learned everything he knew from Dooku and perfected it to the point where Qui-Gon was able to both ignore the Jedi teachings and follow the will of the Force simultaneously without the Jedi having any issue and without him corrupting himself like Dooku did.
Well, the Jedi
exactly why Dooku says to him, you are wiser than I am, Qui-Gon. And that's the same shit Qui-Gon says to Obi-Wan.
Yep.
In the prequels.
Well, but at the same time, I mean,
ridiculous.
The council didn't agree with Qui-Gon. That's why he wasn't on the council. I mean, Kenobi says it too. Master, if you would just obey the orders of the council, you would be on the council. Yeah, you would be, but you do your own thing.
The Force guided him.
The Force guided him, right? Dooku let his emotions guide him, not the Force, right? That's the difference between master and apprentice. And that's
he gave into his feelings on all of the politics that were happening around him.
On really everything.
And he was being the judgment of right and wrong, and that's what takes you to the dark side.
We'll get into
you start to pick what
and
morally
we'll get
is right
into episode 3 and 4 as far as the older Qui-Gon and stuff. But I mean, really here as an apprentice, he's holding back his master, right? It's very Kenobi Anakin, right? Kenobi's constantly telling Anakin, hey, reel it in, too far, right? Same thing here. Qui-Gon is constantly master, too far, master, right? And it's really interesting the parallels I find between all Jedi that go dark. It's always there, and how they don't see it is beyond me, because when Anakin goes too far, sometimes he kind of snaps out of it, and you see Dooku when he's choking that dude, right? And Qui-Gon's like, hey, whoa, reel it in, right? You see him kind of low, big guy. You see him kind of snap out of it. It's a trance, right? The dark side is not just something that takes him over. It's hypnotic. It's a trance. It's almost like a song. It's almost like a siren hypnotizing you and luring you in further and further with each moment, right? That's what I see. The parallels between him and Anakin is that sometimes Anakin gets lost, and you saw Ahsoka or Kenobi reel him in, right? Same thing is happening here.
Strength from passion.
Strength from passion, right? And Dooku got lost in it then, and you saw the spark of darkness there. And
Qui-Gon and then they let Qui-Gon die.
Well, so we'll get there. We'll get
to listen to.
Quick question for you guys, since we're talking about all this and the parallels and everything. Do you think maybe that first episode with the teaching of life and death, do you think that could have been what kept Ahsoka from going down the same path as Dooku or Anakin?
Yeah, because she wasn't fearing the loss of people around her. She understood that death was a natural part of the world. I agree.
Right. And yeah, I mean, that's something I feel like she was really good with. Loss, even as Padme, we'll get into this later, but even the loss of her friend, that didn't overcome her like it did Anakin, right? It made Anakin go deeper into Vader. Vader took over.
That's actually a really good parallel,
right? She doesn't let it affect her, and they grew up together. They were both kids when they met, not Anakin and Ahsoka. I'm talking about Padme and Ahsoka. They were both, to the world.
Ahsoka's only 5 years younger than Anakin.
Right, you know what I mean? And then you got the cradle robber Padme hanging out with Anakin, but but this episode was really great because I really felt
I'm hearing Weird Al lyrics in my head.
you really felt Qui-Gon's balance at such a young age, right? You really saw his care for the people, right? But the balance to not go too far and to see when someone's gone too far, right? It was really, for me, the episode, as much as it was about Dooku's darkness and the spark of darkness, that's what I would have named this episode, is Spark of Darkness.
Spark of Darkness. I mean, even Dooku says to Qui-Gon, he's like, you saved a lot of lives here today. Like, Dooku admitted right then and there, he's like, if you didn't stop me, I was going to take everyone out.
This was my Tusken Raiders, right? Anakin didn't have anybody to say stop. Qui-Gon tried through the Force, right? So here's an instance where Qui-Gon succeeded in helping his master, but not the person who should have been his apprentice, right? That's why. That's why
Dude, he just blew up my brain.
Yeah.
Dude, I missed you guys. I haven't had nobody to talk Star.
I had no one to talk Star Wars. Brutal.
It's an exact. It's the Tusken Raider, bro, and you hear Qui-Gon, Anakin, like he tried.
Anakin, no, right? He says it to Dooku, Master, no, right? Like you hear it. It's Anakin had a moment just like Dooku, and he had no one there to stop him.
Yeah,
right,
and that's why we'll talk about it in the next part.
Sheiv is ready to explode.
Right,
episode 4 is so good.
Right, so that's what I got out of that whole episode, is that was the parallel. That's what I'm saying. Dave Filoni is a master, right? Okay, so they finish this thing. You saved a lot of lives today. They walk up into the sunset, and I'm like, I'm glued to my screen, like, yeah, more. And they're like, boom, Dave Filoni. I'm like, God damn you, Dave Filoni, you're a master. And then we go to episode 3, right? And episode 3 is the Mace Windu, bus driver Mace Windu. I've been saying it for a decade. Mace Windu is a bus driving bitch. He is a
right there
bus
with you.
driving ass bitch. I said it. I'm an hour into my stream. Hashtag that shit.
He man, yeah. I have to
bus driver, bro.
Agree.
He's a bus driver.
Homie's a narc.
So I never liked that.
He went on that mission on purpose.
Never liked that dude, right? So we get into this episode, and we get in this episode, and it's Mace and our friend Count Dooku, and they're on their way to handle the death of a fellow Jedi. They arrive on whatever planet. I've only watched it once. I wasn't paying.
It was one of the Raxus.
Raxus Prime. That's okay. It wasn't an Andor. It was in Tales of the Jedi.
Raxus Prime. So we get there, and they're investigating this dead Jedi. They're there to pick up the body and come home. And all Mace wants to do is collect the receipts and go home. That's all he wants to do. I'm here for my merchandise.
He knows he's filling that seat.
Give me that seat. If I bring her body back, I get that seat, right? That's what he's there to do. Give me that seat.
Yep. But Dooku pulls an Anakin. Investigation is implied with our mandate.
As soon as Dooku hits the floor, he's like, yo, something is amiss here. Something is not right. No.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mace Windu is in the car, and he's like, put your video games away.
Yo, Mace is in the car with his hand out. Get in the car! Get in the car!
Yeah.
Right? He's yelling at dude. And Dooku's like, hell no. Hell no. Something ain't right here. Look, this guy's sweating. He's got flop sweat. It's not just head sweat. He's got flop sweat. Look at his flop. Right? These guys are like giving him the eye, like, shut the fuck up. We'll kill your ass too. Shut the fuck up. Right? And then Dooku's like, we're investigating. Show me where this dude got gunned down. Show me where he got gunned down. Okay, she got gunned down. Let's go. And so, the whole time Mace is like, get in the car! The motor's running! Right? So they go out to the spot. And what happens, right? They do a little investigating. You know it as soon as you get out there.
Mm-hmm.
As soon
Oh,
as
you
they're out there,
immediately
you're
see the blaster on the rocks that's facing out into the forest.
Yep.
wait a minute. This was some
Yeah.
Order 66 shit right here.
Yep.
This is some shit, right?
Mm.
So, you know, push comes to shove. Everybody that starts a battle, and they find out she was gunned down. So Dooku does his job, right? Finds out what's really happened, brings people to justice, right? That's the Jedi mandate, right? Keepers of the peace. But then you see these early sparks of separatism, right? You see you hear the mantra of the separatists in these guys, in these guards, right? These traitorous guards. You hear the mantra of the separatists. The Jedis are just the pawns of the Senate, the corrupt Senate, right? This is the early breath that Dooku gets of the separatist ideas.
The darkness that's coming.
Is this the moment where he decides what side he's taking?
It's probably what sets it in motion for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's still not quite, you know, where he is in episode 4, but it's him, you know, leading to that point.
Isn't he already speaking with Palpatine though? Because he erases,
in episode 2 or 3, I mean?
That's 4. That's not 3.
erases Camino.
That's episode 4.
That's
After
the
they
next
get
one.
back.
Yeah.
That's old man.
Okay.
That's old man Dooku.
And when we get to that, that's where I think that's the tipping point. A certain thing that happens there.
Yeah, it is the tipping point, but I feel like this is the seed, right?
Okay. Yeah.
If we saw the darkness in Dooku in episode 1 and the potential for his darkness in episode 1, we get to episode 2. This is episode 3. Now the darkness has festered, right? The darkness has been festering. His apprentice has moved on. He's a master now, like a true master.
Mhm.
He's
dealing with the ignorance of the High Council and everything too, which he's telling them at this point probably that he senses the darkness coming, and then he hears the ideals of the separatist, and he starts to kind of figure things out. And some of the coolest things I think that were in these Dooku episodes, and maybe I'll touch on the next episode here a little bit too, but the fact that there's certain characters like kind of figuring things out before other characters, even like years before other characters do. It's just like, all right. And you kind of see how things fall into motion. But the real thing I think in episode 3 that pushed him to that point and to being like, all right, screw the council and everything, was that Mace Windu kind of usurped his seat.
Well, and here's the final point, right? Dooku figures out the investigation. They take her home. And then at the end of the episode, we find out that she was on the council. She was a member of the council, the Jedi that got gunned down, and that her seat was available, and that Mace Windu had been granted the seat. Now, it seems, and then Dooku asks the ultimate question: did you know that you were going to get this seat before we left for this mission? And he bold-faced lied to him. He bold-faced lied to a homie.
I think so too.
Right? No, I didn't know nothing about this. No. I didn't. I just coincidence. Coincidence. You know, I'm sorry, but and then he narked him out, right? Because honestly, it seems like that seat was reserved for Count Dooku.
Yeah.
It seems like had Mace just shut up and they brought the body back and he told them what really happened, and we did our investigation and here's what we discovered, and here there's a seed of rebellion, right? There's a seed of separatism in the air. We need to reinforce the colonies and everybody that we're all in this together. Instead, that bus driving bitch Mace Windu, that bus driving ass bitch Mace Windu threw Dooku under the bus and ran him over with both axles.
That's a good analogy.
Mace Windu's a bus driving ass bitch. I'm sorry. So Dooku, at that point, he's like, all right, fuck y'all. I'm out. I'm gonna go hang out with Saifu Diaz because he and I are like, there's something coming. We got to prepare for. I'm gonna go hang out with Saifu Diaz. fuck y'all and your council. Enjoy that council, Mace Windu. Enjoy it, right? And that's it. And that's how it ends. Then we go to episode 4. The explosion head episode. Now, Dave is such a master that he showed us in this one episode, he sewed up all these two plot holes in the prequels that people have been bitching about for a generation. That's right. I said it.
Oh, yes, whiny ass motherfuckers been complaining. Where'd Yaddle go? How the hell did Camino get erased?
Well, here it is. You whiny ass bitches. You prequel hating assholes.
I thought it was common
said it.
knowledge that Dooku did that.
Right? So
I thought that was common knowledge.
I think it was a common assumption that
It was a
Dooku did it.
There was no knowledge because it hadn't outright been said by nobody.
I thought it was addressed somewhat in Attack of the Clones, but I'm probably wrong.
And then, oh shit, thank you, Nick. You're just such a baller. Thank your motherfucking ass. So we get to episode 4, and he sums up these 2 plot holes in one with one. Well, hell you call it. So we get to the minute we walk in, Dooku's like, restricted section. Anakin's been trying to get this bitch his whole life, and Dooku's like,
I got Cypher Diaz's code.
Boom, in the restricted section, right?
I know this is a subtle little thing, but when the crowd walked by and he was gone, I was like,
Yeah, it gives you
like,
chills,
oh,
man.
I think my favorite part was the fact that he just walked up to Jocasta Nu after. Like, he's just like, oh, what's going on?
I do nothing
Hey,
wrong.
what's
What's going
all
on
the
out here?
commotion
Right?
about?
He knows that
What in tarnation?
what in the tarnation is going on around here, Joe Costa Nu? Can you believe what's all the uproar?
And
So
you know
he
what? It also it's a bit of a throwback to Clone Wars on how the bounty hunters got the information on how to get into the archives.
Right. So we're there. So Dooku was giving out Saifu Diaz's password to everybody. It's like a Netflix password. Everybody has Saifu Diaz's Netflix password. Okay. So they walk in, and he just puts code in, goes in, pulls up some. You're like, oh shit, he's in the restriction section, because he looks around. He's like, does anybody see me? Because I ain't supposed to be here. Boop, doo, doo, doo. Gets in there, bam, walks right up, knows exactly where he's going. Right, punches up, memory bank, pacow, and all of a sudden there's Camino. And he's like, oh, boop, 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 boop. Oh, would you like to erase this, Master Saifu Diaz? Yes, please. And it's gone. So, like, the great thing is he pinned all of this on Saifu Diaz, right? Yeah. He fooled everybody. And then, of course, somebody sees him coming out the doors, and there's a little green. Nobody sees him come out the doors. He walks up right to Jocasta, and he's like, what's all the hubbub, bub? What happened?
The Sith have returned, but it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like
Qui-Gon saw some weird shit.
Qui-Gon was smoking that wacky tobacco again, and he saw something. He swears to tarnation that he saw a Sith Lord. He fought a Sith Lord and survived.
I know you've been smoking on it too.
So Dooku's like, oh my goodness, a Sith Lord? Inconceivable.
Where?
Inconceivable.
Yes.
So then he walks and finds his old buddy Qui-Gon talking to Yaddle, and Yaddle and Qui-Gon are having a conversation. Now, look, this got me in the feels. This kicked me right in the balls. Seeing old man Qui-Gon chatting with Yaddle, walking down the street. Now, Yaddle was a lot younger than Yoda, right? A lot younger. She was still had colored hair and didn't need a cane to get around.
Yeah, she's probably only like 500.
Maybe a little less wrinkly.
A little less wrinkly, right?
Maybe.
But she is talking, she's on the council. He just comes out of the council chamber talking about a Sith Lord, and no one believes him. No one really believes him, right? And little Annie's right there telling the same story. Kenobi's young man Kenobi's telling the same story.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, nobody believes him, man. Nobody believes old man Qui-Gon.
By the way, I love the way that they kind of almost put the in-between scenes of Phantom Menace in here, I guess you could say, like they did with season 7 of Clone Wars, where it's like, filling in the gaps between Revenge of the Sith. Ahsoka pops in right after Anakin leaves the chambers in Revenge. And in this one, it's like Qui-Gon has the council meeting with them that we see Yaddle at. And, that was the one time we've seen Yaddle in live action was during that scene. And then, the two of them walking out is probably literally right after.
Right after.
And
Right, immediately after.
And how great was Bryce Dallas Howard as Yaddle?
Oh, bro, so good.
She nailed it.
So good. So we see this moment, and they're having a conversation. Dooku comes in. It looks like Qui-Gon is headed in an elevator, probably to go. We don't have time to deal with this right now. You need to escort the senators. She's going back to Naboo. So it seems like that moment. That's the last time he's with Dooku.
Yeah,
right.
He's going off to fight Darth Maul, and he even says, I'm not going to be there with you, kind of thing. And he's like, "Don't worry, I have Obi-Wan to watch out for my back now."
Well, and it's I don't think a lot of people grabbed that grabbed the heaviness of that moment, right? That was the moment he left for Naboo. That was when he was escorting Amidala back to win her planet back and to his demise, right? I don't think a lot of people grab that the weight of that moment. Dooku probably knowing the plan that Maul was going to be waiting on Naboo for him, right? He knew the plan.
Yeah. He clearly did, because obviously I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit in the episode, but when he does see Palpatine, he says to Palpatine, like, the first thing he's like, this was not in the plans. Like, Maul went too far. He killed him. Like, hell no.
Right. It seems like there was a plan to just disrupt, and Maul went all the way.
You actually get to see Dooku have remorse. You see him emotional.
So we get into Dooku walks away, Yaddle walks away,
title card. I thought that was so random, just real quick, that they just throw the title card up in the middle of the episode like that. I was like, okay.
Oh, that was a heavy moment, man. I mean, that was a heavy moment. That's the last time he sees, that's the last time his master sees him. That's the last time the council sees him. Yoda, all of them. That's a moment he's walking away. That's the last moment he's at the temple. And then we fast forward, right, to Dooku
him at the tree. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I love that.
And the tree.
I love that scene.
If you didn't watch season 6 of Clone Wars, if you're not if this is your introduction, let's say, right, as a noob, this is that tree from Clone Wars season 6. This is the one that Yoda has a premonition, his force vision with the wills, that whole endeavor. There's a moment of happiness at that tree. That tree is very symbolic for the Jedi, right? And and so in season 6, Yoda also meditates in that same spot at the end, realizing the war can't be won, right? And then Dooku is talking about how much Qui-Gon loved this tree and why. And I don't know if I forget sometimes because he's such an unspoken character in his background. But Qui-Gon being born on Coruscant is unique to the way he
views things, probably. No.
views things. I'm just saying in the way that he carries himself.
Okay.
Right. Being born on Coruscant is a unique thing in the galaxy. Right. I mean, for most people outside of the Inner Rim. Right. Everybody outside the
It
Inner
means
Rim
something to just be from there because
I don't even know if I knew that,
wealthy.
to be honest, before this episode.
So Qui-Gon being born on Coruscant is unique because if anybody in the Outer Rim or Mid Rim heard that, you'd be like, he's born on Coruscant. No shit, right? It's something we've never really heard. Everybody comes from somewhere else, right? On Coruscant. You don't really hear about Jedi being scooped up on that populous planet. So we hear that, and then you hear his fascination with this tree at the Jedi Temple because it's probably one of the only living things on this planet, right? As far as shrubbery grows, as far as, beautiful shrubbery. So, he's having these he's like losing a son.
It is, yeah. No,
Right?
it's exactly like the parallels, and you guys have been talking about it throughout all three of these episodes. Like the parallels between Dooku and Anakin have never been more just there. Like it's literally the two of them go through this. It's almost like, dude, the Jedi Order, you guys are so stupid for letting this happen twice within the span of like 20 years. It's like you guys are ridiculous for letting this happen.
Do you think that Dooku justifies Anakin?
No, I don't think Dooku
Us seeing what happened to Dooku makes Anakin's turn.
I don't think Dooku justifies Anakin. I think Dooku is the unfortunately this is going to sound awful, but Dooku is the beta version of Anakin, and not beta as in like less than. I'm saying like the early version, right? Palpatine worked out all the kinks and ironed out all the bad stuff with Dooku.
Their mafia said that this made Dooku look like a bitch compared to Anakin. He said that Anakin is like beyond justified now because they let this shit happen to Dooku like within 15 years, 20. Like, let's be honest, this kid, he was what, 16, 17?
I think what it truly did was show how blinded the council truly is.
Yes.
I think the dark side has clouded their vision so much. I knew they were clouded, but after seeing this, I was like, you guys are practically blind right now.
Well, and the arrogance of people like Mace Windu, right? Had Dooku been on the council instead of Mace Windu, this never would have happened.
Yep.
Right? But the arrogance of somebody like Mace Windu sitting alongside Yoda, being the wrong voice in Yoda's ear, right? Like I said, that bus driving bitch Mace Windu, right, drove the bus right off a cliff, right? Telling Yoda, blind ass Yoda is driving the bus, and that bus driving bitch Mace Windu is whispering in his ear the direction to go, and it was wrong. It should have been Dooku preparing them for what was coming. But again,
and the Jedi always say the same thing. Come with me now, all will be forgiven. The hell it will, bro. You're about to kill me as soon as we get this guy back. As soon as I bring Palpatine back with you, I'm next.
I'm not gonna lie. I believed when Yaddle said it in this episode, I definitely kind of believed her, just because
I believe her, but it's not up to her at that point.
All right, well,
for sure. But she stepped down from the council and everything. So Yaddle in this episode, probably one of my favorite characters in all Star Wars now.
So good.
So
I think she would have protected him.
Right.
Yeah. And I love
essentially
the absolute best parallel between Dooku and Anakin, I think, throughout these three episodes is the fact that their point of no return was Yaddle and Mace Windu, respectively. And the fact that they both had Palpatine whispering in their ears that no, the Order is not going to let you get away with this kind
during
of
the fight.
Yes, literally theirs, whispering to him, like, telling him this stuff. And it literally was almost the same exact way.
Well, and to go one step further,
I mean, whatever power we don't know about.
How brilliant of a parallel was Dooku. Like I said, he was the Betamax version. He was the version 1.0 apprentice of Anakin being the future apprentice, because not only did he play him in thinking that his apprentice wouldn't die, right? Oh, nothing will happen to your apprentice. Nothing will happen to Qui-Gon Jinn. It's just going to be a little this, a little that. He'll kill Obi-Wan, screw it. And then that'll bring him to us, right? That might have been the plan. Was
Probably
Kenobi.
Palpatine made Anakin think he'd be able to save Padme.
Well, but so it seems like Dooku was convinced that Qui-Gon wasn't the one that was going to be sacrificed. It seems like in that conversation he was angry that it was Qui-Gon. It seems like the plan might have been to kill Kenobi to bring Qui-Gon in, so to speak.
Oh, potentially, yeah, because he was talking about how he could have been like you hear Dooku say, he's like, so many people have died because of my actions,
right? And that includes his apprentice, right? So the irony is that both Anakin and Dooku were told by Sidious, prove yourself, kill the master that stands in front of you, that weighs you down. And it seems like Yaddle was a voice of reason potentially to Dooku, right?
Well, so kind of harping back on what you guys were talking about earlier with Qui-Gon in the first episode being that voice of reason, I think the fact that he died, there was no reason left for him. And that's why, Yaddle tried to be the voice of reason, but his reason was gone already. He was too far gone to the dark side and to what he'd already done.
And so at this point, it seems like Sidious, that's the proving ground. Kill the person I tell you to. Kill the Jedi I tell you to. He tells Anakin to kill Obi-Wan. Yep. He tells Dooku to kill Yaddle. And ironically, his eyes were blue in the beginning of the scene when they were having their generic conversation. But once he strikes Yaddle down, Sidious got his dark side endorphin hit. Yeah, because his eyes went yellow.
Ash was saying that it was actually before that. It was as the fight engaged, and he was speculating that it was Palpatine defending himself in case Dooku was swayed.
Yeah, Palpatine started amping up.
2v1 situation. He was getting back in touch
battle mode.
Yeah, so exactly.
And then I mean, the battle, the fight between Yaddle is no Yoda. Let's be honest, right? Yaddle's no Yoda. She's a great sabers swinger, but
there was a lot of parallels actually between the Dooku and Yaddle and Dooku and Yoda fight too.
Yeah,
dope.
Right. Yep. But again, you see the experience of the true Grand Master Yoda, and in that fight with Dooku later. Obviously, they're both very much older at this point, but you see Dooku in all of these episodes using the different abilities you see him using in the fights with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda, cutting things down, throwing them at people, hemming people up, force choke, all that fun stuff. But really with Yaddle, I mean, I thought he crushed her.
That was
I thought he did too.
When that came down, I was like,
wasn't that the same thing he did to Yoda though too? Dropped the thing on Yoda. He thought Yoda was down. He was just unconscious.
Yoda picked it up and threw it back at him.
Same shit, dude.
But and then she gets down. She gets beat up. She's on the floor, and it's like Sidious is like, finish him.
Do it.
Do it.
But there's a very important moment in that fight with Yaddle where it shows the arrogance of the Jedi shines through, and it was her downfall. She looks back at her ship. She has the chance to get out of Dodge. She could have stopped the Clone Wars. She
literally, dude.
Literally, all the bad.
I didn't even think about that. And first of all, I actually love the fact that she figured out everything.
Yeah, she's like,
well, and how much ahead of her time is she, right? Like, how far ahead of the chess game is she? She was the only one out of that whole group of people that could sense something was up with Dooku. Like, he needs to be followed. Something is shady.
Well, the thing is that maybe was really her downfall was that she tried to do everything she could to actually be there for him and listen to him. She even stepped down from the order
at the tree.
She even felt similar to him. That's why she even stepped down from the council and everything. So It sucks that she was trying so hard and he
but
was
again,
already too far
this
gone.
is another example of the arrogance of the Jedi, also in the regard that thinking he'll never turn on me. Right?
Dude, how
Right? He'll never turn on me. And how many, like, everybody else is flying to the funeral.
Yeah, I love
Everybody
that
else
too.
is on their way to Naboo. And he's like, oh, what a great opportunity for me to go see my master. They'll think I'm grieving. And he goes to see Sidious, and she's like, I'm not going to the funeral. Something's up. Something don't feel right. And she goes it alone. Right? This is the mistake that is constantly made by the Jedi. Why, when you got a feeling, don't you just get on the horn and go, yeah, we got what, 10,000, 1,000, I need 17. I need 17 Jedi with some lightsaber skills to meet me to follow this fool. Okay. All right. Yep. 17. I'm going to text you the address. Simple, right? Why go by yourself? Why go by yourself? And she gets her ass whooped. And now we finally have the conclusion of Yaddle's story. No more did she go give birth to Grogu. Wait, no more did she.
Pause. Grogu was already born. So who knows?
Everybody was like, oh, she left to go take care of him. Right. That was one thing that I heard.
Yeah, I didn't ever believe that.
Right. So Yaddle left to go take care of Grogu. Yaddle left because this, that, and the other. No, Yaddle got her ass kicked and got her head taken off. End of story.
Dude,
Dooku took care of business.
We're like going light speed, and I wanted to mention the tree scene, because you ever have like a conversation with someone where they say something to you, but it feels like they said something else? When he's walking away and he simply says to her, Qui-Gon Jinn is dead, what he's really saying is, F you, Yaddle. F you.
Yeah.
He's literally telling her to go fly a kite. I'm done with
I
you.
think the real thing, you're definitely right, and the fact he's kind of doing that, but I think the real thing, like, he even says, like, she's like, like, are you able to move on from his death, kind of thing? And he's like, I have to, one way or another, kind of thing.
Right.
Or that's basically what he says. Like, the
the
way he said that is like, yeah, I guess I have to move on.
That was
Like,
it.
And Dan, the funny thing is that Palps had to be there, right? Palps had to be at the funeral of the senator, right? His friend, his longtime pawn. But I mean, how twisted is that shit? Like, he's disposing of the body, like burn pitting the body of Yaddle while everybody else is going to the funeral, right? I mean, that's some cold ass shit right there.
Yeah, there's some dark stuff going on during that funeral.
And then this is another great thought.
I can see
yes. I was going to bring this up. I'm glad the Stanleys did. I commented on Meg's video about this because he probably did. Like, that's kind of how the Sith were. Like, you have to take down a Jedi to take their crystal. And obviously Vader didn't do that because everything that was happening, even Mace Windu went out the window. So there was no bleeding the crystal right then and there. They had business to take care of. But who's to say that, Palpatine went off. Dooku was burying the body. He took Yaddle's saber and made it bleed.
So I love the theory. My only devil's, and this is literally just a devil's advocate because I love the theory that he did that. In the Charles Soule comic is the first time they show it. The conversation that Palpatine specifically has with Vader is happening while they're burning all of the lightsabers, including Yoda's.
Yeah.
Vader says specifically, you could have given me any of these lightsabers, even Yoda's. What Palpatine says is, a Sith will seek out the Jedi to take it from.
Right.
So I don't think that this killing, I mean, sure, he could bleed that crystal, but I think his intent needs to be in the dark side before he makes that kill. And it needs to be him willingly taking it from the Jedi. So there could be somebody else on the list.
I was going to say, maybe it's Sifo Dyas then.
Well, no, they
someone
found
else on the list.
They found Sifo's lightsaber. And his crystal was in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like I mean,
the other thing, and there's 2 points. The other side of this is that Dooku will need to visit what they call a locus, or the nexus point in the Force, a dark side area to be able to bleed the crystal.
Well, Coruscant.
So are they aware of Mustafar?
It's
right.
Coruscant.
Dude,
it
so
it
my
happened
God, if Dooku is that in a
Could be-
comic I haven't read, but
It could be
does he
under
bleed a
the
crystal underneath.
temple. Yeah, because there's that whole.
Yeah. That's where
Ooh.
Palps does all his best work.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why
He's got his cauldron, like literally his cauldron. Remember that episode in Rebels where he's
Yep.
got the stuff going to the world?
Well, yeah, and that's where all that stuff is. Because
We're gonna come back to this at the end.
Once he got rid of the Jedi, that's where he. I mean, that's why he took over.
Got a pad and pencil already.
Oh yeah, I got notes. We're good.
because we're
okay.
gonna talk about speculation.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean,
what's next?
So we finish up and we jump back into the Ahsoka story. So episode 5 is the Order 66 training.
Mhm.
Now this is a great episode. I wish we would have seen the actual conversation between Ahsoka and like a legit conversation between Ahsoka and Anakin about how impossible this is yielding one saber. Right? This task is impossible with one saber. After she just getting literally Shawshanked every day, beaten into the dirt every day by her homies, right? And okay, so this episode starts out, and there were some Easter eggs in this one. This was a great episode.
Yeah.
Episode 5, we see Anakin in a hurry. Anakin's always late, right? He's rushing to what we find out is actually a, let's call it certification training, potentially.
Kind of, yeah.
Right? Something all Jedi go through,
Mhm.
apparently. And as Anakin is rushing in the room, in the right-hand corner of it, who do we see in the right-hand corner but Caleb Doom
Yes.
and
Deba Balaba.
Hell yes.
Right? And Caleb Doom, this took me back to Rebels, because the first time Kanan sees Ahsoka as Fulcrum, he kind of gets this weird look on his face, right? And I could never really pin it until today.
Wow, I didn't know. Yeah.
Right? The first time he sees her, he goes, "Oh, he knows that face, right?" We always thought that they didn't know each other, right?
Mhm.
But he looks up to Ahsoka in a
Hell
huge
yeah.
way as a Padawan, right? He's watching her certification in the dojos, in this particular certification, and he is enamored with her ability, right? They even bring out the prototype new special training droids, and she wipes the floor with them. And Caleb is just like, oh my God, she's so sick, bro. Right? Just elbowing his master. You believe this shit? Holy shit, right? And what's Anakin doing the whole time? Yeah, that's great. She's fantastic. Yay, Ahsoka.
This ain't nothing.
Right? Yay, Ahsoka. Good job, kid. Yay. So, then we have, she could sense that Anakin's pissed off, right? That Anakin's not happy with this whole thing that went down. And he's kind of trying not to give her any shit around everybody else. He's like, everybody's around. He's like, no, come here. No, shit, come here. Finally, he finds an open spot, and he's like, this ain't shit. This ain't shit. Right? You want a real challenge? You want to know what will really go in his face? This ain't shit. Right? And he's like, and you can see the masters off in the corner kind of judging Anakin. Right? They're straight throwing shade from the corner.
I took that differently, though.
Did you?
I did too a little.
I think because it pans back out and we have Yoda and Obi-Wan there.
Yeah.
I don't think this was a test for Ahsoka. I think it was a test for Anakin to become a teacher. I think they set him up and they made this test happen where Ahsoka's like just doing the thing and Anakin's like, this is nothing. This is crap. I'll show you how to do it.
And then she went and suffered multiple concussions.
Right?
Literally beat the shit out of her.
Yay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Anakin was unsure of himself as a teacher. He didn't know how to be a teacher, nor did he really want to be. But forcing Anakin to witness this, Anakin was like, nope, I got this. Let's do this. And that's what, at least the way I took it. As soon as it panned back and Yoda and Obi-Wan look at each other, I was like, that was a test for Anakin. And he just
But
passed.
now hear me out too. I want to
did
tag
he
on
pass
to
or
that.
Did he fail? Because at that point, he is obviously not training her to the level that they know he's capable of. So is it more of a, like you said, a test for him? But it seems like that's a test failed, because you can see
it's
bored.
not though, because in the long run, it's not about the immediate results. Like
Right.
especially when you're teaching a kid, like they're gonna fail a spelling test if you only just now start tutoring them. You know what I mean? But the longer and longer you tutor them, the more they figure it out. And that's kind of what this episode is. It's she would not have survived Order 66 if it were not for
So
Anakin training her like the way she did.
Anakin, you know, Ahsoka being the eager beaver, right? She is always trying to prove herself, right? I'm good enough. I can do it. You're not going to tell me no. And he's like, this is nothing. This is amateur hour. This is for the kiddies, right? What are you doing? You want a real test? Meet me in the hangar bay tomorrow in the morning, right? And then he proceeds to literally let them, I don't know, stun her 100 times in a row.
She'll be all right, I think.
Rex is like, I don't know how much more she can take.
I wanted him to call her Snips so bad. I wanted her to say, hey, Snips, you're waking up faster. Like, what an asshole. He's like, well, at least you're waking up faster. You suck at this, but you're waking up faster.
Oh, Jesse really tagged her. Sorry, Commander.
And how poetic that it was Jesse that tagged her, right?
Yeah.
How poetic was it, like, that Jesse's the last clone she buries, right? The one that hurts her the most is the one that, you know, she rescued. Jesse was a prominent part of her life, right? I guess that's what the sting was for me in that, is like, oh, sorry, Commander. And it's like, literally, that's the one that's trying to kill her, right? So
yeah,
you know, they stun her a bunch of times. And like I said, for me, it would have been brilliant to add another, 30 seconds, a minute of content here and show Ahsoka or Anakin, either one of them, starting the conversation saying, this can't be done on single saber. You are proficient enough, and you hold your saber wrong anyway, right? So you hold your saber wrong. Let's give you another one that you can hold properly, right? And so it seems like it was a missed opportunity to show the acquisition of her second saber. Another hole in the story that everybody was like, well, why did she get a second saber? No one else got a second saber. Nobody else gets no second saber. There's no Jedi with two sabers, right?
What's her name? Gets gunned down on Felucia.
There's a couple, but I do think in a way it wasn't a missed opportunity, because in a way they kind of show it to you. They show and don't tell it to you. They don't show
to have two green from that point on.
Yes.
Well, she did it in between the training scenes. Like, so she starts off with one, and then throughout things, that's why she has.
But then does she go back to one ever or no?
No, because at that point her outfits change. So she's young.
So there's a time jump that we don't.
There's time jumps for
sure. Anakin helping her acquire the second.
Well, and his hair changes also. You can see his hair gets longer,
and for sure they could have shown that to us, but I think the way they did it and implying it kind of still like this is why she has a second saber.
It just seems like a missed opportunity to go back to Ilum, right?
Sure.
We get so few scenes of Ilum. So few Jedi go on a second quest for a second crystal, right? That's all I'm saying. It was a missed opportunity to show the gathering of a second crystal, because not many, a handful, literally maybe 5 to 10 Jedi in an order of thousands house two crystals, right?
Just Ash Hammer. You're right about this, because for sure that would have been really cool.
We're gonna get to that. That's what X-Wing.
I was gonna say we got live action and a lot.
That's what X-Wing. That's what X. But yeah, I mean, it just, and
it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's definitely I feel like it's a missed opportunity, just because it's something that we don't see often. Yes, we will have a live action opportunity, but it's not something I can see Rosario playing a young Ahsoka going to Ilum, right? It's not something that I don't think they're going to have time for. I think that's why we got the Ahsoka stories we got now in Tales, because there's not enough time for Dave to play those cards in live action, right? At least not.
And I don't know if we'll ever see floating lightsaber parts. Like, we know it. We know how a Jedi makes their saber. You know what I
We
mean?
did
I
Talking
don't
about in
know.
live action, because we've
In
already
live
seen
action.
it. Okay,
Oh.
yeah.
I don't think they're gonna just like, you know, like visiting Ilum in live action, doing that. I don't think it's 100% necessary at this point, unless it's like the planet
Skeleton
of
Crew
Ilum.
would be cool to see that.
Yeah, or something is happening to the planet of Ilum specifically where they need to go there. Sure, like does that become Starkiller Burst?
It does.
Like, right. So
Yeah.
Well,
I don't want to see it until that, or
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
I don't
so-
need to see them get
I
their
won't
crystals.
go too
basically.
deep.
well,
Yeah,
it seems like a missed opportunity. No big deal. But then we get into obviously her getting older. The squad, she's getting better, taking longer to get to get her down. And then you see Rex just plow right to the face. Like he gives zero fucks. Like he's all in for the training. Oh, you really want us to fuck her up? Yeah.
Right in the kiss.
Fuck her
Dude,
up.
he had that iconic blaster all decked out in his
Right.
armor. Just
Right. But then, this, he says it outright, and it's something that I'm videoed and shorted the shit out of, is that moment where he talks about, look, the only way I can truly protect you is to teach you to protect yourself. Right now, the reason the clones were so good at this is because they were already programmed for this.
Yep.
Right.
Oh,
so Anakin, not knowing that there's already pre-programming going on in their heads to do this.
What are those
Is
memories that you don't have that are here?
Yeah,
dude, one of them could have like in that one Clone Wars episode where it glitched.
Right.
Can you
No,
imagine?
The craziest part too, I love how they did it. Obviously, it's all parallel. It's poetry, it rhymes, but it's literally almost the same group of clones that when Order 66 happens, and that's why we get the scene with Jesse and everything. But they're almost circled in the exact same way that they are when they show up, and it's initiated. It's like, oh damn,
the spin moves are the same. The directions the blaster bolts come from, everything is the same. And why? It's simply because that's how they were programmed to do it. He was teaching her, feel their fingers pulling the trigger before they pulled the trigger. He taught her to survive this without telling her, without anybody knowing. She's the only one, dude. I was talking about this today. She is the only one who survives Order 66 that got attacked, that didn't run away. I'm not talking about Seer. I'm not talking about the Inquisitors. I'm not talking about any of them. People that took the brunt of the blow, the people that took the attack. All of the masters died except Yoda.
Yeah.
Yoda and Obi-Wan, and even Obi-Wan barely survived.
Right? Yoda got in his ship and took off. She took on
2 times.
Twice. She took on
Twice now.
Everybody. She took on the entire squad, right? And she walked away. She's the only one that walked away. That's how important that tale was. That tale, in my opinion, is the most important tale out of the entire thing involving Ahsoka, including the last episode.
Well, here's the crazy thing. That moment in season 7, I guarantee Dave Filoni had this in mind when he had Rex say, I hope all that training paid off.
Oh, yeah.
Because Rex knew exactly what Ahsoka was about to do. He knew exactly. That's why they went back to that moment. I was like, right there.
Yeah, it was really good. Dude, there's so much to unpack, man. That's the thing is that I've only watched it once and I'm unpacking all this baggage. Let me watch it 2 more times and let me unpack some more. So quick before Sheiv goes, we're into the last episode. This is the Inquisitor episode. This is the one everybody expects me to lose my brain on. This is the one I didn't lose my brain on as much as I wanted to. You can't, and I said it in the earlier stream when we watched it. You can't take a literal illustration. You can't take a written work and 100% adapt it to any movie, show, or anything. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, House of the Dragon, Star Wars. It is never a direct adaptation. The fandom is always pissed off. And as a large fan of this story and that book, I'm okay with them not showing me what happened, but adapting it to see them use the name Ashla, to see her make that moment a decision where she comes back into the fold, right? And it didn't have
Is
to
that the
happen.
planet where it happens?
It's
They
supposed
confirmed
to
the
be.
book is the same one.
Most of the concept is still the same. I've never even read the actual pages myself, but most of it's the same. And I actually found out about this through the leaks a while ago. But I love the way they did it, man. I thought that the fact, even in the books, I believe she blows up the lightsaber, and that's how she.
Her touch actually ignites it makes the crystals explode because they're hers.
Yeah, same thing.
Impossible that this is just another Inquisitor.
No. Well, no, it's the same thing. But so the thing I loved about it, though,
how much is it adapted?
No, it's almost.
I haven't read the book.
It's almost verbatim.
There's
It's
slight
the same
changes.
planet, though. They name the planets like
even with the Kanan comics, they slightly changed those, and the fact that Kanan is with Depa Billaba, and I should have said this when we were talking about last episode, the fact he's with her that early in the Clone Wars kind of makes the comics kind of obsolete because he joins her kind of close to the end in the comics.
Right. Well,
but it's okay to me that they changed it slightly, and it's almost cooler the way they did it because she moved just like Kenobi did when he was a master fighting Maul. Like the way she took control of that fight, grabbed the saber. I was like, bro, she's.
I don't want to say it was the exact same move, but the way she and then immediately was a down strike. Like
no. Yeah. If you, I mean, that's the same thing she did to the Inquisitor in Rebels, right? She's like, I don't need a saber. I don't need a saber. I will shut yours off and take it from you, right? You don't expect me to be this close, right? And this always takes Inquisitors back. It's the same look she got.
I gotta go.
Go.
Peace out, y'all. Much love,
later,
everybody
bro.
in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Hope you have a good night.
But this was a good adaptation. Yes, we didn't see her ignite her white crystals at this point. Where is she on the run? They kind of put the two stories together. Because in the book she's on Rada, and then she leaves Rada and she goes to another place, and then she comes back for the people of Rada and they're burning everything down, and that's when she does her whole thing. But she does it in the middle of town. It's a whole different feel, but it's okay, right? The whole point is that, because in the book she sneaks onto Bail's ship, and R2 is there, and she gives R2 a good brush in and says her hi R2-y, and then talks to Bail about being Fulcrum. In this adaptation, Bail gives her the option, right, at the funeral, and they see each other. In the book, the first time that he knew she was alive was on his ship when she snuck on, right, still thinking everybody's dead, or everybody thinking she's dead. So yeah, there is an adaptation, there is a translation from book to this. It's a 15-minute versus a book that should have an hour story, right? Yeah. Let's be honest, a 45-minute story. So fast forwarding through this works, right? She's completely defenseless when she goes to Padme's funeral. She's got no lightsabers, right? She left.
Why? So it's really bothering me, obviously, but I haven't read the book. Why so close to the Ahsoka show live action coming out would Dave choose to do this? It makes zero sense to me.
I don't think the Ahsoka show is going back that far.
I don't either.
Outside of there might be some flashback
that's
moments.
One of the biggest things, right? That people
it's
want.
Definitely a huge thing,
and he himself has said that there are moments he wants to tell in live action, and that's why he doesn't consider these things to be
the part that
he specifically said about the book and shows is that he never imagined in 1,000 years he'd be able to tell this on the screen. Right. So that's why he doesn't mind changing it.
Well, and the part that gets me, and this is the part that gets me. Look, there is a as much as I love all of this, there is a shadow that clouds over this for me, simply because I just needed one thing in this story to make it work 100% for me. I needed a dark counter song to the song of a crystal singing. Right? When the Inquisitor shows up, all I needed to hear was a dark counter song laying in the background, indicating that those were her crystals, right? That if she's going to purify those crystals, I needed to hear that in the background because that is an underlining thing in the book. It is a very large staple of her purifying those crystals. And so that's the only thing that really kind of fucks with me a little bit. But on the honest point, in 15 minutes, the fact that he told the story that he did in 15 minutes, I'm in it.
Yeah. And to be honest, it could still show up in the Ahsoka show in some sort of a meaningful flashback, like not redoing the Inquisitor fight, just the moment of what she does with the crystals.
Right.
It's one of those things that there's pieces in play here that we don't know about.
Absolutely.
You've said it. You know, Filoni is like
he's playing 4D chess.
4D chess. That's what I was trying to. Yeah, I'm like,
what is the line? Block and tic tac toe. He's playing 4D chess. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So while we sit here and we're like, oh, you know, we almost had everything, but everything is probably still on the way. Like,
I mean,
Mike, well, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, we've been speculating for literal months when Dave Filoni came out with those trading cards that the Malachor storyline is going to be there. Right. I thought that the sabers and all that other shit was going to be included in that part of the show.
Right.
So to put it in the cartoon, I'm just like, Dave, what?
And who knows?
A little too early on that one, I think.
We still have time. Okay. So I hope you've thought about it because it's happening.
I got to look at him.
That's right. You've reached that point of the segment. It's the great rate debate. And there's going to be better graphics and animation as time comes, some new original music maybe. But we're going to start it here. We're going to start the great rate debate. And what this is everybody has a different impression. So I'm going to open this up to the chat and you guys feel free to rate each episode at your leisure. Of course, eventually we're going to get graphics. I'm going to put us on the side and we're going to have some animations that are going to put our scores up in the box. But for now, let's start with episode 1. And I just need the chat. You guys let us know 1 to 10, or actually 1 to 6, which best to worst, right? Where do you put episode 1 in your rating system of these 6?
Are we saying 1's the best?
Yeah, we'll call 1 1, 6 is the bottom. We can do it that way. Sure.
Okay.
But episode 1, we're going to start with baby Ahsoka. Who wants to lead?
I'll lead.
Chat,
I put this at 4, being I put it at 4.
Okay, so this one's smack dab in the middle, right? This one's like bottom middle. Okay,
below the upper half.
bottom middle.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I got a brother that's bottom middle child also, so he So this is the lesser than.
I'm just gonna put it in the chat.
Okay, so we're at a 4 for him. Okay, Matt, what do you think? Where do you put in episode 1?
This is my number 2.
This is number 2. That's a big one.
My number 2.
Number 2. Okay. I honestly put this right at the top middle child. This one hits me right in the feels, but and of course, you know, for me, it's nothing. Gets me every time. But yeah, this one for me was
appetizer. It was an appetizer.
Yeah, this was an appetizer. This was definitely wasn't the worst, slowest, but definitely for me, this was not the top 2. This is definitely the bronze medal for me. Going into episode 2 was Count Dooku. This was Qui-Gon. This is what I call the spark of darkness. So where do we put this guy?
3 for me.
Okay, so this is your bronze medal.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt?
3rd best episode.
See, this is
young Qui-Gon.
That's what, because
Qui-Gon intervening.
This is my 3 as well, because of other episodes. This is like, it's just
right. I've been ranking them by order of elimination. I'll be honest. I started at the top and just the bottom 3 or the bottom 3. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of, you got your two top two that are cutting, the two middle are okay, and then the two bottom are not, your favorites. Yeah. Matt, what did you say? This is
my 3.
This is your bronze medal also.
Yep.
Yeah. See, this is probably, I mean, I really like this episode. This is probably my 5th place winner. This is probably more towards the bottom for me. It was a great story, but it's one I could have lived without. It's something I didn't need, but I'm glad I got. Right.
The chat is going to expose whether they liked the Dooku episodes or the Ahsoka episodes more.
Okay, so then we get to Dooku Mace, right? And Dooku Mace, great episode, lots of action. But where do we put this one?
This one I ranked lower. I put this at 5. This was them investigating a senator who's corrupt. Yeah. We've seen Jedi do this 1,000
kidnapped kids. They're the space police wizards. Yep. Okay.
Typical Jedi nonsense.
Yep. Yeah, I put this as my 4. I put this as this is a great episode. I really like the bus drive, the bus driving bitch ass Mace Windu. That bus driving bitch. But
I
for
need
me,
that shirt. I need him driving the bus with the arm out the window now.
We're doing it, dude. We're doing it. I'm gonna get the animator on it like yesterday. We're gonna do that.
With the eye patch.
That bus driving bitch. But yeah, bus driving bitch for me was 4th. I really think it's an important episode that really shows the spark of where he's going and what really pushes him over the edge is Mace taking his seat. So then we jump into the first Ahsoka episode, the last Mace episode. This is episode 4.
That was my 6, by the way.
That was your 6. Yeah, I know that was last place for you. I saw the 6. I didn't miss you. I saw. So that was bottom for Matt. That was 6 for you.
Episode 4 was 6 for you.
Episode 3 was 6
or 3. You said the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. This was my 1. This was my number 1.
4 was your number 1.
My number 1 as well.
Okay. 4 is my number 2. 4 is my silver medalist. Again, like you guys are saying, it's top 2, right? And although this sewed up 2 great holes in the fandom. Yeah, for me, I can't not think that Order 66 before Order 66 is just my number 1 hot list. That's it right there. I mean,
what it is? I think that the thing that's different between me and you is that you went into this looking for the Ahsoka stuff. I went into this specifically looking for the Dooku stuff, which is not, neither one is wrong or anything.
Honestly, these two are a coin flip because the Dooku episode, the episode 4 was so powerful. There were the Yaddle, the Order 66, the clones, the Sifo Dyas, the Jocasta, all of it felt great. But Anakin training Ahsoka to survive Order 66 without knowing it, Jesse and Rex getting practice at Order 66 every other day, crazy mind-blowing shit for me. So for me, that number 5, we're on episode 5. 5 was my number 1. Matt, where'd you put episode 5?
Episode 5 is my where were we at? So that puts me at my number 4.
Wow.
I'm questioning my whole life yet too. Because I told you I had to do it by elimination. I put this as my least favorite episode.
This is your least favorite episode. Okay.
It shook out that way. I'm sorry, Chad.
And it's not to say it was like, oh, that stunk. It was like I hate
that I have to rank these at all, right? Why did you
do the episode I think that we speculated the most on?
Right. Yes.
So I knew I knew every single goddamn thing I needed to know about this episode before I even watched it. Thanks to obsession.
The only thing that added to it for me was just the Anakin. This wasn't an Anakin premonition. This was like, you think that's like him basically saying your training's weak sauce. Like Jedi training is for the weak. And that's like the thing that pushed me over the edge is him, again, his arrogance in training. And then episode 6. So episode 6 for me was the 6.
It's my 5.
I mean, as much as I wanted to interpret this in a better way, it just fell flat for me in comparison to the rest of the show.
I'm realizing that I put both of the conclusions at 1 and 2.
Of course.
And I put both of the intros in the middle.
Yep.
And I put both of the Last Jedis at the end.
Yep.
That's right.
I put the sequel episode, or I put the Last Jedi episode of each at the bottom.
Yep.
So I don't know. That's just how that worked out.
That's about how those feel in the middle episodes. But yeah, I mean, look, that everybody's going to have a different interpretation of this list. That's why I wanted to do this thing. That's why I want to continue to do this thing when shows finish, because it gives me a great opportunity to segment a fun segment and start something new here, because we don't do enough of things like this.
Oh yeah,
so this
dude.
is what we're gonna do. We're gonna
Chat's
do this. I
love it.
we're gonna do this on all the shows. We're gonna start the Great Rate Debate. Anytime the show finishes, we'll go ahead and rank them. Andor is gonna be tough because it's 12, so you better get your chart ready. Hopefully by the time Andor finishes, we'll have some graphics so I can keep you guys honest on the screen. There's no erasing and starting over. But yeah, we're going to do some graphics. We're going to work on it. We're going to try to get some more original music. Thank you to Rode for giving me a free piece of music.
Can we do a speed round? I made a list.
Yeah, speed bag it is.
I made a list of potential, let's just call them future tales.
Well, yes, this is what we were waiting for, and this is the end segment that I've been waiting to do.
Do you have some of your own? Because I have a lot.
I do. I have a couple of we'll call this and
passion projects, I'll say, of my own.
I wish I would have had a graphic made up for this today. We could have called this Future Tales of the Jedi.
Yes.
But go ahead. Yes.
Future Star Wars content.
Please start it up, because I got one up my sleeve, and I'm not sure if you guys are already on that.
So one of the most obvious one I think everyone's thinking about is Tales of the Sith.
Okay. Okay.
And while we were speculating all of the Dooku stuff, I was like, I kind of have a 3-episode arc for Dooku already. Him turning his saber.
Yep.
Him learning that Palpatine's ultimate plan is unlocking the power in the world between worlds.
Yep.
And the 3rd episode is him assisting Palpatine under Coruscant, opening that portal that the blue flame chases Ahsoka and Ezra through.
Right.
Tales of the Sith.
Okay. I like
that
it.
was like my biggest, like, yes, I need Dooku now. And then just some other ones I thought of, and I've heard them from other people too. So Tales of the Bounty Hunters.
Yep. I heard that one today. Yep.
Tales of the Outer Rim. Maybe.
Okay.
Just the lower decks people, skeleton crew, whatever you want to call that. Tales of the Unknown Regions.
Okay. Yep.
Introduce species that are in legends that we know about.
Yep.
Other planets we've heard about. And then one of the last ones I just did, because we were talking about it, but Tales of the Kyber. These are sentient. These are sentient. Maybe they just start to tell us how the Sabers went in and who they called to.
Okay.
Nice.
Matt, any thing you've thought of?
The two that I'm predicting are staying in the realm of Tales of the Jedi.
Oh, me too. Let's see if we're all on board the same train.
My lower level one is I think we're going to get some Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Okay.
I think we're going to get some of those, which I think will be incredible.
Maybe something in that Brotherhood book.
Something in that, something in that realm, because they were together for a very long time. There's plenty of missions they went on.
20 years.
Entire Xbox game made about it, and I think that's what we get. But my ultimate prediction of Tales of the Jedi is the tale of Grogu, and I think we're going to get all of the answers in this form. I think we're going to get Grogu's missing gaps in Tales of the Jedi.
Okay. Those are good. I like that.
I would like that there.
My one, I only have one.
Trained.
And this is continuing along the lines of Tales of the Jedi. It seems like this may be a good avenue for Dave to sew up some plot holes, right? Some and not necessarily plot holes, but fan theories. Put some things to bed, right? Much like who really erased Camino. These kind of things that really gave us all the information. How did Yaddle die? And moving along that line, I think the very next tale of the Jedis should be the story of how we lose, or how she dies, which would be, did Anakin kill her? Which would be Shakti. I think that would be a fantastic
because
way.
she has like 3 different plot lines.
She's got 3 different plot lines. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of fan theory.
Give her a 4th. Why not?
Yeah.
Just throw another one out there.
I mean,
but that one will get the C slapped on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I mean, look, they sewed up Dooku. They sewed up the Clone War stuff. Obviously, Darth Tyrannus was using Sifo Dyas's codes for a very long time. And so we get all of these plot holes sewn up. So this would be such great anticipation for the fans, especially content creators, because then it's like, which ending is she really going to have? Is it Anakin stabbing her in the back during meditation in the temple? Is it is it one of the other versions?
Star Killer?
Is it Star Killer? Right? Which version is it going to be? And I feel like that's the fun of the Tales of the Jedi, is what are they really going to give us? You're going to give it, it's Ahsoka and Dooku. The next one could be Shakti and I don't know, somebody else.
God. You know what they could do? I would love this. If they went with the Star Killer version, they could then go into a Tales of the Sith with Maris.
Mm-hmm.
Or even I just thought about Tales of the Lost Ones.
Right.
All the Jedi that are out there on their own right now.
That's deep.
Right.
Ooh, you just hit me in like somewhere that tickles.
Because we keep meeting them in the video games, like there's that
it,
crazy asshole that lost his mind on that one planet.
Stanley's has got it. Was it? And this
Kirik
is
and Philip.
Was it Grievous? Was it Anakin? Was it Star Killer? Right?
Star Wars Ladage. What
Who's it gonna be?
I think he's going with a trio there, though.
Yeah, all 3 of them at the same time. Yeah, I mean, look, it just seems like this is a great way for Dave Filoni to bring, and his team, to bring out and sew up some things that were left unsaid during George's reign. And this goes back to something I say on a regular basis, to think that an apprentice doesn't reach out to their mentor. Ventress, perfect example. Another Tale of the Jedi. Ventress,
do that Lost Stars.
Ventress and Shakti would be great. Ventress and Shakti would be a great next step in Tales of the Jedi. But it just feels like Dave maybe reached out to George and said, "Hey, man, I want to sew this hole up. There's so much, of this in the fandom. Let's sew some things up. What are some things you would like to sew up?" And I could just see saying,
he's just trolling, giving him all kinds of.
I'm sick of hearing about Shakti.
I'm sick of hearing about who erased Camino. I'm just tired.
What do you mean, Luke Soka?
Tired of it. Tired of it. So that's. I honestly firmly believe that Dave and George still talk on a regular basis.
I believe it.
When things like this are in the works, I have no doubt that George is very proud of his apprentice, the same way that we watch the Jedi be very proud of their apprentices. And I like to think that George listens to Dave and guides him even years after the Disney debacles. So, yeah, I mean, that's.
I do want to say one thing.
That first, bro. Way back.
Going way back to the beginning of when we were talking about Tales, but I just want to throw. I don't know who the animators are, but I want to just say like mad props to these animators, because there's the first thing I noticed, and it was why that first Ahsoka episode is one of my favorites.
Oops.
Ahsoka's born. We see her mother. I'm like, wow, she looks like her mother.
Right.
Then we see her. Well, first we see her father.
Right.
When Ahsoka's older in Rebels, she resembles her father.
Right.
And I'm like, I see this in the animation. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? You guys put that much detail into this?
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah. Honestly, it's I know a lot of people didn't have a good feeling about Star Wars at the beginning of the year. This is the stuff I've been waiting for. Kenobi was what I was waiting for. Not disappointed, not undisappointed, but this is the stuff that really hits me and really continues to fan the flame that is Star Wars for me, because between this and Andor, these two stories are really putting Star Wars in the forefront, and I feel like neither of these shows are getting any attention. I feel like only the kids and us are raving about this. I feel like
This show will pick up steam.
the Muggles
We're
have
sweating
no
'cause we
idea
watched the whole thing today.
what we're watching. And what do you mean you guys are watching cartoons, right?
Right.
You know, and Star Wars cartoons.
Little do they know it's the best Star Wars we got.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I mean, honestly,
Rebels, baby.
and just to finish, I mean, so far both of these shows are a 9 and a 10 for me. These are top tier shows. This is top tier Star Wars. You know, yes, there's never perfection, and our expectations are often the reason that we don't like something. And honestly, I was expecting a little more, but am very happy with what I got.
I look very much forward to the ramping up of the Andor happenings. That show is gonna get nutty real fast.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just gonna hit the peak and then flip on us.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna be ready when the
Dude,
hammer
each one of those
drops.
arcs are gonna build faster. The
Yep.
pace is gonna pick up. It's
Luthen doesn't know it, bro, but he wants the Death Star. He doesn't know it. He's gonna regret it.
But he wants
He's gonna regret it, but he wants it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been very solid. The
pushing hard.
storytelling is fantastic. The people that were worried about somebody that doesn't know Star Wars writing and directing Star Wars content, again, you guys got your wish with Robbie Rod, and look what he gave you. So I'll take people that supposedly don't know how to tell Star Wars stories all day long, because these have been fucking fire.
Yeah, because you know what people don't realize? It's you may not be a longtime fan or even know it that well. That doesn't mean that you're unable to research it.
Right.
You didn't
The
go
people
into
that
this
start
blind.
to research it, they realize real fucking fast how amazing this universe is, and all of it's supposed to connect.
Right.
It's
And it will.
supposed
And look, and all of these stories, look, I love how Dave just went and sewed a couple things up. It really makes this content more ingestible for people that are like, well, what about this and what about this? Well, go watch this and then go watch this. And he's laying all his cards on the table for us. It's just a matter of time. You know, the poker game of life is long, and he is holding a lot of his cards close to the vest. And I don't think anybody of us really expected Tales from the Jedi to be this good. I really don't think people thought it was going to be this good, and it's fantastic.
Remember when it was just a logo on a binder for the crew?
Yeah.
Damn, that seems like forever ago.
And Andor, the sleeping giant, has revealed it is absolutely living up to the expectations that I had for it. And you know, the fact that these two that they released these shows, I feel like they could have waited and released Tales of the Jedi in 6 weeks. They did us a favor and finally gave us something in one breath, right? And only because it's so short. I mean, they could have given me this over 6 weeks and I would have ingested it. I would have waited chomping at the bit for that 15 minutes every week.
Yeah.
So they finally listened and they gave us something in all at once. So thank you, Star Wars and Lucasfilm.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in the day, before episode 2 came out, on StarWars.com, every week a 5-minute cartoon would come out.
Yeah.
And that was the first Clone Wars animated show. And I waited week to week to get 5 minutes.
Right. So they could have done us dirty. They could have put this over 6 weeks. They could have finished this alongside Andor, but instead they're like, here you go. Here's a gift. Here's an hour and 30 minutes of great content. Have a good time, kids. And honestly, this kid had a great time. This has been some of the most fun I have had with Star Wars in a long time. And that's saying a lot, especially with Andor's, where there's no space wizards. There's no lightsabers. There's Kyber. And the ship has lightsabers, but apparently the people don't. So I can get down on that. Anything else that's going on? We're gonna get on out of here. I could go another 2 hours, but we'll be here all night. I haven't seen you guys in forever. We haven't gamed, we haven't talked, we haven't streamed. Everybody's been super busy. So
Well-
yeah, it's the first time we got the band back together.
I think you guys need to dust off some controllers or keyboards or whatever, because it looks like Battlefront 2 has won my poll, and that is where the community gaming is starting. We are diving into Star Wars, guys.
I gotta make a purchase.
Well, and we are starting a new channel. I've officially started the new channel. I've officially started branding and working on logos. But
exclusive.
If you guys, we're gonna do. Matt and I have been talking about it for a while. We're going to invite anybody that wants to join us in this crazy thing. But we're going to start doing Movie Show Bros. And Movie Show Bros is going to cover everything that's movie and shows. It's not just Star Wars. It's not gaming. It's not specific. So we're going to start talking about movies that come out more in depth. We're going to talk about, House of the Dragon, Lord of the Rings, Top Gun, anything that's coming out. We're going to try to get a handle on as much as we can because we all have real lives. But we're going to try to do something. I would like to do something at least once a month on that. Let's see what we can coordinate between everybody. But we're going to try to step out of the Star Wars breath and have a place where we can talk about different stuff because there's so much stuff. Cobra Kai, the Mrs. Maisel, Dope Sick. I mean, I could go on and on and on with everything that's out right now. So I wanted to create a space. Matt and I have been talking about it for a while, but I really wanted to create a space where we could talk about that stuff and not just beat our dicks in the dirt with Star Wars. So that's how I said it. Like
as fun as that may sound.
Whew.
So one last thing. We are 115 subscribers away in that breath.
Crazy.
We are 115 subscribers away from giving away that PlayStation right there. Horizon Forbidden West package. Disc. Yep, it's a disc version of the PlayStation 5. And I want to give that thing away before Christmas. So there's 115 subscribers yet. If you haven't already, get down below, like and subscribe here. I'll do it in a more entertaining
voice. Okay, look, listen. I really want to give away this PlayStation. So I really need everybody, if you haven't already, get down right below us and like and subscribe because it's gonna be great.
So get down there, like and subscribe. As soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, we have a new system that we are going to unveil on our giveaways to make it a little more honest and fair for everybody. So get there, get us there, and then we're going to do the giveaway. We're going to do some rules and all that fun stuff, and I hope to do it before Christmas. So anything else you guys want to plug? Anything? I know Matt's been killing it with the shorts and with the content he's making. Hawks has been doing crystals, and you just sold a couple crystals. That was really awesome.
I did just sell a pendant the other day
on the TikTokies.
Yes,
Matt's TikTok is taken off. If you haven't been over there, check out his TikTok. It's doing a lot better numbers wise than the YouTube views because TikTok's algorithm loves
world, man.
So anything else you guys really want to plug before we jump ship and pull the ripcord?
I'm terrible at plugging the crystal stuff, but if you're interested in the crystal stuff, the YouTube is Hawks Holocrons. At the top of the banner is the TikTok that has 24,000 followers now.
24,000.
My girlfriend has built that over the last year and a half. That's where all the glorious crystal content is.
Yes.
But
And
my crystal website and my Instagram crystal page are both on my banner for Hawks Holocrons. I really appreciate any attention that gets because that's where I support my family.
Yep.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's good stuff. If you haven't already got it over there, check it out. He does it all himself. So it's
the big goal idea is kyber crystals. So anyone who's in there supporting the shit, you will eventually have a harness with a kyber. Like it's gonna happen.
I love it.
There you go. Matt, anything else going on?
Just like you said, trying out the new stuff with the shorts, and I'm going for some some funny stuff. I got
spooky season. Go watch his Outlast stream.
The rest of this month, guys. I mean, we only got a few days left, but this month has been scary games, and I'm editing my last Outlast playthrough. Guys, I almost had a heart attack on that last
Hope you
stream.
wore your brown pants.
Yeah, guys, go check it out if you want to see me jump and practically cry.
And your green screen is on point in your gaming streams right now. Yo, for real. Like your green screen is on point. Your
the Resident Evil one. Hawk's like,
crispy.
go back. It looks like you're sitting at the desk.
Bro, he was literally playing Resident Evil, and they went into an office space. It looked like he was typing at the desk while he was playing.
It is fantastic right now, guys. Sheiv the Wise, Matcave, and Hawks Holocron. All the links are in the description down below. Get over there and subscribe. All over there. Hit their TikToks. Give them some love on the socials. Yeah, dude, we haven't done this in a while. It's been 2.5 hours. I could literally sit here and do this for 2.5 hours. It's been freaking awesome to get the band back together and to just chill out on a Thursday night. So we're gonna do more of this. We're not gonna make it so long. Yeah, I got my. I felt it was my celebration shirt. So I had to break out my celebration shirt. Matt's got the best one on, in my opinion. But yeah, check out the merch store. I'm not good at plugging this stuff. Check out the merch store. There's a ton of stuff over there. We're gonna be doing more. But Mace Windu, the bus driving bitch, is coming. Don't even fret. Mace Windu, that bus driving bitch is on the way. Don't you worry. That shirt is legit coming. I am getting on an animator tonight. But yeah, guys, I hope you had fun. Look, this is the space I missed. This is the stuff we missed. I know these guys have been dealing with real life. I know we've all been trying to stream as much as we can. Hawk's living in the outer rim, literally. Who knows what Skynet's doing?
Hey, Elon Musk making purchases, though, baby. We're moving on up to the east side now.
Elon is privatizing Twitter, y'all. Okay, so get on your tweets now because it's about to be privately owned again. No more public-owned Twitter. So, yo, things are out of control.
Hashtag Starlink Gaming.
Starlink Gaming. But yeah, guys, this has been an outright blast. I am so thankful that you guys came on. I'm so thankful for Sheiv for hanging. We're gonna do more of this. Don't you worry. And I think next time, being as we're all caught up, so now it's just more Andor and whatever else. I think we'll bring, we'll ask some of the peoples to come on in. Yeah, I think we'll ask some of the people to come on in and join us as subscribers. Everybody, you guys have a good night, and thank you guys for being here. Everybody in the chat, we kept like a consistent number of people here all night.
Hell yeah,
it was good. We had a great time. 2.5 hours is a long time for us to go. Usually we keep it to an hour, but tonight it was just too good.
There was a lot to talk about.
Just too good. So thank you guys for being here as always. As always, I'm going to close it out the same way. Don't forget to get your pet spayed, neutered, help control the pet population. As always, love your brethren. Take care of your family and friends. Don't take any day for granted because you never know when tomorrow could be the end. Take care, everybody. Be safe.